Chapter 2153. Wow, it's beautiful. Tang Chuan's eyes lit up. He actually had a lot of diamond cuffs, but because Qi Ning was the one who picked them out, he was especially excited. How about I go get now? Tang Chuan asked half-jokingly. Now, don't joke around. What time is it? Don't come and disturb my brother and sister-in-law. How about this? I'm flying to the airport tomorrow. My brother and the twins will see me off. I'll give it to Pudding and let her see you off. After all, they see Suyu all the time. That's so troublesome. How about this? I'll go get it from the States when I have time, Tang Chuan said. Get it from the States? Ahem, don't joke around. How about I give it to my sister-in-law and she'll deliver it to you? Miss, aren't you afraid that someone will replace such an expensive item? Can you be more careful? Tang Chuan laughed. Okay. I'll just leave it at my brother's house. I'll make sure they give it to you. I said I don't want it. Just put it in your bag. I go to the States often and I'll get it myself. I want you to give it to me in person, Tang Chuan insisted. Finally, Qi Ning gave in. Okay then, I'll keep it for now. Call me when you arrive in the States. I live in Los Angeles and fly to New York often. Call me when you arrive. Okay then, I'm going to bed. I'm so tired today. I might not be able to get up tomorrow, so I won't see you off. Okay. Although there was nothing going on between her and Tang Chuan, she was still disappointed that he wasn't going to see her off. She didn't know if all men liked to take advantage of her like this, but after the kiss, he stopped chasing her. Qi Ning put down her phone and pulled up the blanket, but she still didn't feel sleepy. After the twins came back, their grandma took them to shower and sleep. Huamin was much more relaxed. After taking a shower with Qin Shu, the two of them went to bed. Honey, what do you think happened today? Huamian still couldn't believe what she was seeing. Are you talking about Tang Chuan and Ningning? Qin Shu put his arm around her shoulder and asked. Huami nodded. Yeah, I still think it's ridiculous. It's fine if young Master Tang messes around in private, but is it really okay for him to announce that Ningning is his fiancée? Will people think that GK is going to marry the Tang Corporation? Huamin suddenly thought of many things. If you want it, then so be it. It's not a bad thing for us. Tang Corp has always been financially strong, so it's better if we can work together. As for their private matters, I still stand by what I said. You don't think highly of Tang Chuan? Prejudice? Qin Shu smiled as he scratched Huamin's face, trying to guess what his wife was thinking. To his surprise, Huamin explained in all seriousness, that's not it. Although young Master Tang has sometimes shamelessly argued with me, and even accused me of being heartless because of Suyu, I understand him very well and actually admire him. He and Suyu are best buddies, so it's understandable that he would stick up for his buddy. It only shows how deep their relationship is. Young Master Tang and I have never had a falling out because of anything else. Plus, when our company was in a crisis, young Master Tang didn't hesitate to help us out. So, if you say I'm biased against young Master Tang, I won't admit it. I've always treated him as a good friend and would invite him to gatherings. Plus, we've added each other on WeChat for a long time, and we even send each other red packets during festivals. I just think that young Master Tang's actions are too abrupt. Ningning might not be able to get used to being his fiancée. Plus, they're in an international relationship, and based on the current situation, there's no way Ningning can come back to China. Second uncle needs her help, and we don't know how long they can last in a foreign country. Huamin said worriedly. Qin Chu chuckled quietly after hearing Huamin's words. What are you laughing at? How serious are we talking about? Huamin looked at Qin Chu in confusion. Chapter 2154. Honey, I just want to say that you're overthinking things. They haven't even started dating yet. From what I know about Ningning, she won't easily get into a relationship with someone. So, there's no need for that international romance. Even if there's a need, we'll talk about it later. Right now, what we need to do is sleep. Then, Qin Shu turned off the bedside lamp and hugged Huamin tightly from behind. The next morning, Huamin woke up early, ate breakfast, and drove to work at Southside. Qin Shu drove the twins and Qi Ning to the airport again. Pudding, Auntie, are you really leaving this time? Qi Ning, what? Are you impatient? Pudding, of course not. I wanted to stay here forever. Qi Ning, forever? Are you greedy enough? Pudding, you're wrong. No matter how greedy we are, we're not as greedy as Uncle Tang. He kissed Auntie. Qi Ning, ahem. Let's not talk about that. After all, Auntie is leaving. Can't you guys leave Auntie with something good to remember? Pudding, okay, I'll let you go. Let's not talk about this with Grandpa Qin. Qi Ning was speechless. Thank you, little princess. Pudding, Auntie, we're about to board the plane. You should go through security. Pudding pointed at the VIP passage. Okay, I'm leaving. Why didn't Uncle Tang come to see you off? That jerk. He kissed me and ran away. Pudding complained. Ahem. It's good that he didn't come. If I saw him, I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to control myself and would beat him up. Qi Ning smiled awkwardly. At this time, Qin Shu handed Qi Ning a small boarding box. Go on in. Call us when you arrive. Okay, big brother. Take them home. I'll be fine. I have bodyguards with me. Qi Ning waved her hand and boarded the plane with the bodyguards. Qin Shu brought the twins out of the airport and boarded the Maybach. Pudding didn't forget to look up at the sky. Yes, it's a sunny day with blue sky and white clouds. I believe there won't be any more snowstorms. Annie should be able to go back smoothly this time. Daddy is going to the company in a while. Do you want to go home or follow me to the company? Qin Shu looked at the twins dotingly. Daddy, I have an idea, but I'll only tell you if you promise not to scold me. Little Bean licked her lips. Act first and report later? Did you learn this from your mommy? Qin Shu smiled. Guomin had once used this method to deal with him. Everything he did, he would first ask for a death-free gold medallion before committing a mistake. Do you agree or not? Little Bean whined. Yes, as long as it's what you want, Daddy will agree. Mr. Qin was a true slave to his daughter. I want to go to Imperial Star with my sister, Little Bean said tactfully. Qin Shu was speechless. Are we going to see Suyu? He asked. Yes, we haven't been with Handsome Su for the past few days, so we want to go to Imperial Star to see him. Okay. Although he was a little jealous, he couldn't stop his love for his daughters. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said, Okay, I'll drive you there first. Then, Qin Shu drove the twins to Imperial Star. Pudding was so excited that she secretly sent Suyu a WeChat message. She wrote, We'll be at your company in 40 minutes. Get ready to pick you up. Suyu immediately replied, Yes. After Qi Ning boarded the plane, she went straight to the first-class cabin. As soon as she sat down, she heard a faint voice beside her. Hey, Ning Ning, what a coincidence. Qi Ning turned her head and almost went crazy. Chapter 2155. Why are you here? Qi Ning was so shocked that she stuttered. She didn't expect to see Tang Chuan here. Moreover, he was sitting right next to her. Did he have to be so dramatic? I'm here to get my birthday present. Tang Chuan deliberately stuttered like Qi Ning. Really? If you got your present, you could have just come to the airport. Why did you have to get on the plane? Qi Ning felt that this kid's explanation was simply unreasonable. That's because I want to go to Los Angeles. Although, I've been to Disneyland more than 30 times, but I suddenly want to go again. Okay, you win. Qi Ning finally admitted defeat. No matter what, Tang Chuan was already on the plane. It was impossible to chase him off. Where's my birthday present? Tang Chuan shamelessly stretched out his hand. Qi Ning sat next to him, opened her bag, took out a small box, and handed it over. Here for you. Don't make it seem like I owe you a present. Qi Ning threw it over. Tang Chuan opened the box and looked at it lovingly. Then, he pretended to exclaim when he saw the label. Wow, it's so expensive. Miss Qin, you're so rich. Please keep me, Qi Ning, Tang Chuan. Please keep me. I'm good-looking and not clingy. Qi Ning, do you believe that if you continue to be so flirtatious, I'll ask my bodyguard to throw you out? Tang Chuan, I believe you. Qi Ning thought that this long-distance flight would be extremely boring. She didn't expect Tang Chuan to interfere. No wonder he didn't come to the airport to see her off. It turned out that there was such a big surprise. No matter what Tang Chuan's purpose was, Qi Ning felt that his appearance in the United States was undoubtedly a surprise. At least the journey was no longer lonely on the other side, at the headquarters of Imperial Star. Su and were already waiting at the entrance of the company. The staff at the front desk all thought that they were greeting a big client. Otherwise, President Su wouldn't have come down personally. Su kept looking at his watch and muttered to himself, I guess there's a traffic jam. Otherwise, it wouldn't take so long. President Su, don't worry. President Qin is personally escorting them. The twins will be fine. Yes, I know. I wanted to come down and pick her up himself, but he knew that President Su would be worried, so the two of them stood there for 10 minutes. Not far away, a white Maybach slowly drove over and finally stopped at the entrance of the group headquarters. Su immediately opened the back door and carefully carried Pudding and Little Bean out one by one. Qin Shu didn't get out of the car. He just rolled down the window. If you're busy, give me a call. I'll send someone to pick them up. I'm not busy today. Let the two of them play here. Su smiled. Qin Shu nodded. Thank you. He was indeed a proud god. He only said 2 words. His words were as precious as gold. It's fine, it's not hard at all. After greeting Qin Shu, Su held the twins' hands and walked in. The twins were wearing the same clothes today. They were wearing Huamin's arm, tight black spandex pants, and white snowshoes. On top of that, they wore a red cloak with tassels, looking very elegant. Their long hair was down, and each of them wore a small black top hat. They were super stylish. Some of the staff knew that President Su treated the twins as if they were his own. Some of the new employees didn't know and thought that they were little models hired by Imperial Star to shoot commercials. Su brought the twins into the office today. Handsome Su, I want to eat macarons. Little Bean began to whine as soon as they entered the office. Chapter 2156. But your mommy said she doesn't like you eating too much sweet food. So you was a little hesitant. But I like it. Also, Mommy isn't here. If you don't tell her, she won't know. Little Bean rolled her eyes and began to shake Su-Yu's will. Then you can only eat one, okay? I'll take you guys to eat something better for lunch. Okay. Little Bean immediately nodded. Pudding, what color do you like? Su turned around and asked. Pudding leaned against the leather sofa and played a game on her phone. She replied proudly, I don't want to eat. I want to maintain my figure. Su gave her a thumbs up. Good job, girl. I've decided to think about maintaining my figure in 20 years. Little Bean said confidently. 20 years. Is there still time? Su smiled. Of course there's still time. In these 20 years, I don't plan to fall in love early. Little Bean made up her mind. Su was about to praise her for being a good child. Then, Little Bean added, I want to eat to my heart's content in these 20 years. I want to eat all the delicacies on earth. Su Pudding so? Handsome Su, where's my macaron? Little Bean asked as she blinked her big eyes. And Su had just called out to him when he heard In's voice, and immediately understood. You're still going to that store to buy it? Does Little Bean like pink macarons? You're so smart, Uncle In. I love you. Little Bean immediately blew in a kiss. Seeing that she had become so spineless because of food, Pudding sighed in disappointment. I really don't have a choice to be your sister. Don't sigh. Only a fatty like me can show off your figure. If you meet a tall, rich, and handsome guy in the future, you can flirt with him first. You can leave the rest to me. Little Bean even learned how to give in. Thank you, but I don't need it. Pudding glanced at her and continued to play games on her phone. Su sat at his desk and continued to work, looking at the documents. Pudding was playing with her phone. Little Bean was eating macarons and was guarding the door. The 4 of them were in the same space, but it was actually very quiet. It had to be said that it was incomparably harmonious. At 11:30, Su looked at his watch and put down his work. You must be hungry. What do you want to eat? Soy sauce soup, kimchi sushi rolls. Pudding put down her phone and listed 3 dishes in a serious tone. I agree. Little Bean's style was that as long as there was food, she would agree. Deal. Then I'll take you to the Korean cuisine at the back street. Let's go. Su was about to leave with the twins and Xiaoan in high spirits. She saw Jian Tong wearing a long leather jacket and a pair of sunglasses walking towards her. Pudding, Little Bean, when did you guys get here? Jian Tong smiled like a blooming flower. I've been here for a long time. Pudding answered indifferently. Auntie is in the studio shooting a photo today. I didn't know you guys were coming. Why didn't you tell me? We're going to eat now. What's up? Suyu looked up and asked faintly. Oh, I was just about to eat with you. President Su, I have some work matters to discuss with you. Can we talk while we eat? Jian Tong tried to use work as an excuse. It's handsome Su's private time right now. He's busy enough every day. Can't you let him have a quiet meal? You can talk about it when he comes back. Right now, he just wants to have a quiet meal. Pudding was more sharp-tongued. Jian Tong froze for a second. Then, she felt a bit awkward and a bit unhappy. So, do you still want to eat with us? After all, we don't welcome you. Little Bean looked at Jian Tong innocently and added insult to injury. Chapter 21:57. Everyone knew that Pudding and Little Bean didn't like Jian Tong. In front of Su Yu, Jian Tong was embarrassed by the two little girls. So, she smiled awkwardly. Oh, if that's the case, you guys can go eat first. I'll talk to President Su about work after he's done. Su Yu nodded, satisfied with Jian Tong's performance. Just like that, Su Yu and the twins took the elevator downstairs and followed behind them. They were at a Korean restaurant in a back street. The elegant private room was decorated with tatami mats. The twins sat on one side, and Su Yu and In sat on the other. They looked at each other, and it looked quite formal. After the dishes were served, they ate and chatted, and told Su Yu some things about the company, and the twins listened quietly and didn't speak. Finally, Pudding wiped the corner of her mouth with a tissue. Handsome Su, I have an important question to ask you. Huh? Okay. Su Yu nodded. My Auntie Chi Ning was going to marry you, but Uncle Tang took her away. Don't you feel uncomfortable at all about that? Su Yu smiled. Hearing this, Little Bean also felt it was unfair. Handsome Su, I don't want to criticize you, but look at Uncle Tang's flirting skills. Look at you. You're so different. No girl will like you. You're so unromantic. Su Yu, and the problem is that your auntie isn't my type. Tang Chuan asked me this question in private. We're so close that he definitely won't try to steal her away. So, he asked me if I wanted to develop a relationship with Qi Ning, but I'm really not interested in her. So, since Tang Chuan liked her very much, why shouldn't I help them? Su Yu had explained many times, but since the twins didn't want to give up, he had to explain more. That night, Tang Chuan kissed Qi Ning forcefully and became the center of attention. After returning, Wei Liao sent a WeChat message to Su Yu to ask for his opinion. In fact, he really didn't have any thoughts about it. What he really wanted was to see Huo Min acting coquettishly with Qin Shu, which made him feel uncomfortable. However, when he saw Tang Chuan kiss Qin Ning, he didn't feel anything. Instead, he felt happy for Tang Chuan. After all, he had finally found his true love. Huo Min was the woman he had secretly loved for more than 4 years. They had experienced so much together over the past 4 years, and it had long been engraved in his heart. As for Qin Ning, everyone thought that they might be suitable for each other, so they decided to pair him up as a couple. However, love didn't make sense. If everyone felt that it was suitable, then it would definitely happen. Perhaps there wouldn't be so many single men and women in this world. Wouldn't the world be at peace if they went on blind dates 100%? Okay, it seems like handsome Su really doesn't like Annie. Pudding was a bit disappointed. Forget it, sis. Fate is a strange thing. We can't decide who handsome Su likes. It has to be deep in our hearts. Just like when handsome Su liked Mommy. Many people don't know why such a powerful person would fall in love with a little nurse. But some things just don't make sense. Pudding was more open-minded about this than Pudding, so she tried to persuade her sister. You're right. Let's put this behind us. No matter what happens between Uncle Tang and Annie in the future, she's not handsome Su's woman anymore. Handsome Su, we all want you to be happy. Promise us, okay? Pudding looked at Su Yu and said seriously. Chapter 21:58. Actually, I'm very happy right now, Su Yu said from the bottom of his heart. Although he didn't end up with Huo Min, he was able to follow Huo Min and the twins around for the past few years. Others might think that it was hard, but he felt that it was happiness. He even felt that God was good to him, because the years that Qin Shu missed were the happiest times of his life. He even felt that he had stolen those few years of his life. People had to learn how to be satisfied in order to have more happiness. Compared to 4 years ago, Suyu was like a completely different person. At that time, he was still the arrogant and flamboyant crown prince who was insufferably arrogant. Now, he was a low-key and reserved young entrepreneur, a gentle and caring man. He doted on the twins as if they were his own children, and he had always fulfilled Huamin's requests. After speaking, Pudding didn't mention this matter anymore, afraid that Suyu would feel uncomfortable. Therefore, she changed the topic and said, "Handsome Su, Little Bean and I will stay at your house tonight." My house? Suyu was stunned. The twins often stayed at the Su family's old mansion. They played chess and games with Suyu's parents, and the atmosphere was very harmonious. However, they had never stayed at Suyu's mansion for a long time. After all, he wasn't their biological father. It was weird to stay with the twins for the night. Therefore, Suyu didn't know how to answer Pudding's words. "What? You don't welcome us?" Pudding asked. "No, of course I welcome you. But will your daddy and mommy agree?" Suyu hesitated. Little Bean secretly smiled and said, "We have 100 ways to make my daddy and mommy compromise. Don't worry about that. What I want to ask now is, why did you suddenly want to stay in my house?" Suyu was puzzled. "Can I say that it's because bitch Jin has been too attentive to you recently, and we're worried, so we want to keep an eye on you?" Pudding was sharp-tongued. Shaoan almost choked when he heard this. "Ahem, what? Unclein, do you have a problem with that?" Pudding glanced at an no. Shaoan replied immediately, not at all afraid of angering the princess. "If the two of you are worried about this, then there's no need to. We don't need any publicity now, and there are no media reports. She won't do anything." Suyu smiled. "That won't do. Sometimes you're still too kind. You don't understand the means of those scheming bitches. The two of us definitely can't let her have this opportunity. Even so, you don't have to stay overnight. Haha, it's not convenient for you to take a shower. Uncle Suyu is a man. I think you guys shouldn't stay here." Suyu still felt that it wasn't safe for the twins to stay at home. How would he explain it to Huamin if he bumped into her? "It's okay, we can bring our own nanny." Pudding added, "Suyu, how is it? Can we do it now?" Little Bean wiggled her butt and grinned at him. "Okay." In the end, the twins successfully bullied Suyu and convinced Suyu to let them stay in Suyu's private bedroom. After dealing with Suyu, the next thing they needed to do was to convince their daddy and mommy. After dinner, Pudding took a sip of tea and looked at her little sister. "Little Bean, I'll go convince daddy, and you go convince mommy. I'll give you 3 minutes, okay? You can call or send a WeChat message." Pudding began to quickly assign tasks. Chapter 2159. Wait, why do I have to convince mommy? Everyone on Earth knows that daddy is easy to talk to and mommy is hard to talk to. Sis, are you sure you're not tricking me? Although Little Bean usually looked careless, she was quick-witted at critical moments. Therefore, she immediately questioned her sister's mission. "Mommy is hard to talk to, but you're good at acting cute. With my personality, it's hard to talk to mommy. Not only is it a waste of time, but it's also very likely that I'll end up arguing with mommy. But you're different. You can act cute and coquettishly and win mommy's heart. Daddy is more rational. I only need to briefly analyze the reason, and then I'll be able to convince him." You're right. I don't know what to say." In the end, Little Bean was successfully convinced by her sister. Then, the two of them picked up their phones and walked to a corner to make calls. Suyu and then watched from the side, as if they were watching a Hollywood movie. It was so exciting. 3 minutes later, the two sisters returned to their seats on time. "What did your mommy say?" Suyu was more afraid of Huamin, so he asked Little Bean first. "I told you that Uncle Su really wanted us to stay the night. After all, he's an old bachelor who doesn't even have a wife, so it's inevitable that he'll be lonely and cold. With the two of us around, your nights will be richer. At least, we'll be able to play chess, eat supper, and watch TV with you. That's all. My mommy seemed to understand your pain and agreed to it for your sake," Little Bean said proudly. Suyu felt as if he had been struck by lightning. "Little Bean, are you sure you're not making me the scapegoat?" Suyu wanted to cry, but had no tears. It was the two little girls who wanted to stay the night, but now he was the one who was lonely and empty and wanted warm companionship. In the end, he had to ask Huamin to agree. This This was ridiculous. Sis, this is the first time I realized that you're a genius. Little Bean actually praised her. Sis, what about you? What did Daddy say? Little Bean looked at her sister with a smile. Daddy is very smart. As soon as I asked, he agreed. He said that even if he didn't agree, I had 100 ways to make him agree. So, he agreed right away to save time. Haha, he's our biological father. Even his way of thinking is different from ours. Little Bean clapped her hands. The four of you are a weird family. Suyu sighed. So it's decided. Daddy will send the nanny to take care of us to your house tonight. Put in a look at Suyu. Pudding. Pudding to say, what do you want to eat, 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 eat, to 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 eat, eat, to eat, to eat. Didn't you just have lunch? Suyu was speechless. Little Pudding to Puto, Su Puto, Pudding Pudding. The twins stuck to Suyu in his office the entire afternoon. As a result, Jiantong couldn't talk to Suyu about work in private. However, the more the twins messed with her, the more Jiantong wanted to get closer to Suyu. She really wanted to teach Huamin and her daughters a lesson as Suyu's woman. In Jiantong's eyes, Huamin was despicable, but the twins were even more despicable. 10 p.m. that night, under the nanny's care, the twins showered, changed into their pajamas, and were about to go to bed. Suyu was sitting on the sofa downstairs in the living room, drinking beer and watching a basketball game. Just then, the doorbell rang. Suyu got up to open the door. President Su. I couldn't sleep, so I got up and made some pork bone soup. I thought it tasted really good. I suddenly remembered that you love it, so I brought some for you to try. I drove really fast, so it shouldn't be cold yet. Ha! Jiantong was wearing thin clothes and had delicate makeup on her face. She held a small pot of soup in her hands. Suyu looked at her with a complicated expression and didn't say anything. It was already so late, so she obviously wasn't here to deliver soup. Chapter 2160. It's late. You don't have to be so polite. Suyu sounded distant. However, Jiantong obviously didn't want to leave. She stuck out her tongue cutely and asked, Can I come in? It's so cold outside. I came out in a hurry and forgot to turn on the air conditioner. My hands are a bit numb from driving all the way here. Come in. Since Jiantong said so, Suyu didn't want to block the door anymore. He opened the door and let Jiantong in. Every time Jiantong came to Suyu's mansion, she would be extremely excited. She even fantasized that she would one day be the mistress of this house. She carefully placed the soup on the coffee table. President Su, drink it while it's hot. Put it here for now. I've been drinking beer and watching basketball games. My stomach is a bit bloated. Suyu didn't say that he didn't want to drink, but he obviously wasn't interested in Jiantong's soup. Do you really like basketball games? Jiantong purposely tried to find a topic to talk about. Yeah. Which basketball player do you like? I like Kobe the most. Jiantong purposely smiled. This is the CBA, not the NBA. Suyu was a bit speechless. Jiantong coughed awkwardly and didn't say anything else. Is there anything else? Suyu asked. He wanted to leave as soon as possible if there wasn't anything else. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk to you about work this afternoon. Unfortunately, the twins seem to hate me, so I didn't have time to talk about it. Here's the thing, I don't want to take too many jobs this year. I don't want to go overseas to film, and I don't want to go overseas that often. After all, I'm getting old and want to spend more time with my family. My parents want me to ask for your permission. Jiantong spoke very slowly as she observed Suyu's reaction. Suyu's reaction was very calm. Sure, no problem. Imperial Star has a lot of artists. If you want to take a break, you can give the newcomers more opportunities. Plus, you've been working really hard these past few years. I'm okay with taking a break, and I won't mistreat you in terms of salary. As long as you don't feel like you've been wronged, the company will be fine with you. How could that be? President Su, you've been taking care of me all these years, so I won't think that way. Also, thank you for giving me a break. Jiantong smiled like a flower. Then do you have anything else? Suyu asked. Oh, I want to say, Nialing Xuan's injury is quite serious this time. I'm interested in the cosmetics endorsement she accepted. After all, the other newcomers in our company can't hold up the front. I think if she can't come back to work for a while, I can take over the endorsements. What do you think? I've talked to her about this. Her injury isn't serious, so it won't affect the endorsements. So, I'm afraid you can't do what you want. Plus, you have a lot of endorsements now, and she doesn't have a lot of endorsements. If you take the endorsements from her, I'm afraid she won't feel good about it. Let's be lenient whenever possible. I don't care what happened between you two, but the company hopes you won't cause any more trouble. Su Yu tried to persuade her. President Su, you're joking. I don't have any problems with her. After all, we're not on the same level. When I was famous, she was just a little girl who did odd jobs. Haha, I just like the brand she endorses, Jian Tong explained. So you didn't say anything. Instead, he picked up a can of beer and watched the football game on TV. President Su, if you don't drink it, then I'll make it for nothing. The bones were carefully selected, and it took me more than 3 hours to boil it. I also made the soup with great care. Jian Tong looked at the soup in front of her, full of sadness. To appease her, Su Yu told her to leave quickly. He got up, walked over, and picked up the spoon. Just as he was about to drink, he heard a voice behind him. Handsome Su. Chapter 21:61. Little Bean, why aren't you asleep yet? Su Yu looked at Bao Xiaobao, who was standing on the stairs behind him, in surprise. Little Bean was wearing a milky white nightgown. It was a princess gown with lace trimmings. It was very beautiful, and the material was top-notch. My sister doesn't seem to be feeling well. Is she having a fever? Can you come up and take a look? Fever? That's serious. I'll go up and take a look. So you put down the spoon and walked upstairs. He seemed to have forgotten about Jian Tong. After Su Yu went up, Little Bean came down. She looked at Jian Tong and asked arrogantly, "Why are you here?" Since Su Yu wasn't by her side, Jian Tong sneered rudely. "Then why are you here? My sister and I are very close to Handsome Su. Not only here, but we also stay at the Su Mansion. How can you compare to us?" Little Bean's tone was a little arrogant because she really didn't like bitch Jian Tong. Seeing her come here in such a coquettish outfit in the middle of the night, Little Bean knew what Sima Zhao was up to. Of course not. No matter how close you are to him, you're still children. I'm different. I'm a woman, a mature woman. I can help him solve problems that you can't solve. Jian Tong's words were very vague, but also very coquettish. Little Bean looked at her with disdain. You're just offering yourself to him in the middle of the night. I don't understand why you don't have any sense of shame. You've been in the entertainment industry for so many years. Although you're not a promiscuous woman, you've slept with at least 8, if not 10 men. How can you have a nerve to seduce Handsome Su when you're already like this? You want to be the young mistress of the Su family, right? Let me tell you, there's no way. Grandma Su said that the Su family will never let someone like you marry into their family. Plus, you're not even qualified to be Handsome Su's mistress because you're too much of a bitch and full of schemes. Little Bean, when it comes to bitches, no one is as bitchy as your mommy. She's the real bitch. She kisses your daddy and flirts with Handsome Su, making him dizzy. I heard that she's having an affair with Ai Yang. Oh, and Hua Xiqian. He's your mommy's older brother. Ha! She's so shameless and immoral, but you don't care about her. Why do you care about me? There really isn't enough for the two of you to worry about. Also, don't speak so harshly at such a young age. Be careful that no man will want you in the future. In the end, you'll end up as old grandmothers. Jian Tong said out loud for the first time. To confront Little Bean in such a straightforward manner, he was going against the natural order of things. You're finally not pretending to be a white lotus anymore? Now that Handsome Su isn't here, you can't pretend anymore, right? I'm confused. You keep bad-mouthing my mommy because you're jealous of her, right? She's not as pretty as you are, and her body isn't as good as yours, but she has her dignity and dignity. She wouldn't just walk up to you in the middle of the night. Shameless people are invincible. Plus, we're here, so don't think about those dirty thoughts. Even if you strip naked, Handsome Su won't touch you. You're just asking for humiliation. We'll still see each other in the future, so I advise you not to do such shameless things. Leave some leeway for yourself and others, okay? Little Bean's sharp tongue was not inferior to her sister's at all. Little Bean's tongue was sharp, but she was too lazy to say anything because she was too busy eating. Today, Jiantong finally saw what a terrifying opponent was like. She didn't use any dirty words when she insulted someone, but she still insulted them. I'm here to deliver soup to President Su. This is his home. I don't think I did anything wrong. Jiantong raised her chin provocatively. Little Bean looked down at the soup and then picked up the spoon. Handsome Su isn't interested in food. I can help him. Then she picked up the spoon and put it in her mouth. Jiantong's expression changed instantly because she had put a large dose of aphrodisiac in the soup. Chapter 2162. Jiantong wanted to stop her, or she could just reach out and knock over the bowl of soup. After all, she came here with the intention of giving the soup to Su Yu so that she could climb into Su Yu's bed. However, she didn't expect the twins to stay the night here. Since Little Bean wanted to drink the soup, she should have stopped her. However, at that moment, Jiantong hesitated. She even had evil thoughts. Little Bean, and putting it always been the kids she hated the most. She hated Huamian even more every time she thought about how arrogant and cold Huamian was. Huamian had everything. He didn't need to work hard and had everything at his fingertips. However, after so many years of hard work, her wish to be with Su Yu was getting harder and harder. In the past, Huamian stood between her and Su Yu. Now that the twins were here to ruin things, Jiantong was furious. Therefore, she hesitated. While she was hesitating, Little Bean had already drunk the soup. To be honest, the soup was delicious. After all, Jiantong had been starving for so long. However, Little Bean wouldn't give her face, so she frowned and said, "It's disgusting. What did you make? Is this even soup?" Jiantong was scared and didn't dare to say anything. She was panicking. She had only cared about the momentary pleasure just now, but she had forgotten that if anything happened to this child, she would be in trouble. Would Su Yu let her go? Would Huamin and Chu let her go? After she calmed down, Jiantong looked up and observed Little Bean. "How are you feeling? Do you feel uncomfortable?" "Of course I feel sick after drinking such a disgusting soup. I want to throw up." "Humph. You should leave now. Handsome Su won't drink your soup, and we won't let you be alone with him. Give up." Jiantong was scared, so she got up with her bag. Indeed, with the twins here, her plan for tonight would be ruined. "Stop right there. Take your soup with you." Little Bean pointed at the bowl of soup. Jiantong hurriedly turned around, picked up the soup bowl, and left. She was so scared that she didn't even have time to say goodbye to Su Yu. Upstairs, Pudding was lying on the bed talking to Su Yu. She didn't have a fever at all. It was just that the nanny heard some noise downstairs, and the two children happened to be awake. When they saw that Jiantong was here, the two sisters made a button. She lied that Pudding had a fever and asked Su Yu to go up and stall Su Yu. Little Bean taunted her several times and drove Jiantong away. Pudding thought that such a simple task would be solved in minutes, but she didn't expect Little Bean to cause so much trouble because of the soup. "Handsome Su, did you ask Bimbo Jian to come so late? How is that possible?" Su Yu immediately denied. "But how dare she come here in the middle of the night? Or are you looking for a woman?" "Ahem, your Uncle Su isn't that desperate. Plus, I'm old. Why would I need a woman?" Su Yu had been abstinent for the past few years. Because of his obsession with Huamin, he didn't have any thoughts about other women. Occasionally, when he couldn't control himself, he would use his own hands to solve the problem. Therefore, he didn't look for a woman. "That's good. Stay away from Bimbo Jian. She's too scheming. She's not as good as she looks," Pudding warned. "Yeah, I've heard you say that many times. I remember." Su Yu smiled. "Good. Little Bean probably drove her away. You should go to bed too," Pudding urged. Before Su Yu got up and was about to speak, Little Bean opened the door and walked in. "Handsome Su, I'm so hot." Little Bean felt dizzy after taking a few steps upstairs. Then, her whole body swayed as if she had drunk too much. The moment Su Yu turned around, he was dumbfounded. Little Bean's face was as red as fire. "Little Bean, what's wrong?" Su Yu rushed over and picked Little Bean up. Chapter 2163. Pudding also rushed out of bed. "Little Bean, don't scare me. Why is your face so red? I don't know. I'm so hot and dizzy. I want to sleep. Little Bean's voice was weak, as if she was going to fall to the ground in the next second. Ambulance, ambulance. So he was also panicking. His hands were shaking when he reached for his phone. The ambulance won't make it. You drive, we'll go to the hospital. Pudding was calm and immediately came up with an idea. So you picked Little Bean up and rushed out. He drove the two sisters to the hospital in his sports car. Since Suyu's mansion wasn't far from Southside, he drove them there directly. Outside the emergency room, Suyu and Pudding's hearts were in their throats. Handsome Sue, should we call my parents? Pudding was a little scared. I already sent them a WeChat message. They're on their way. Suyu leaned against the wall and blamed himself. He was scared out of his wits. If something happened to Little Bean, how would he explain it to Huamin? When Huamin and Qin Shu received the news, they immediately drove over. On their way here, the doctor in the emergency room walked out with a serious expression. Who is the child's family? The doctor asked. We are. Pudding held Suyu's hand and walked over. The doctor looked down at Pudding. Twins, right? They look very similar. Doctor, how's my sister? What's the situation? The child's reaction is probably caused by drugs. As for what drugs, we need to do further tests. But right now, we need to pump her stomach. Family, please sign the papers. We don't do gastric pumps for children like this. If something happens, our hospital will. The night doctor didn't know that the child was Huamin's daughter, nor did he know Suyu. So, he wanted to make it clear that he didn't want to take responsibility. But before he could finish, Suyu immediately grabbed him by the collar. What the fuck did you say? I'm telling you. You have to promise me that nothing will happen to this child today. If anything happens to her, I'll fucking blow up your hospital. Someone come. Security. The patient's family is crazy. The doctor was scared out of his wits and screamed. The security guards in the security room also rushed out and tried to pull Suyu. At this moment, Huamin and Qin Shu arrived. Everyone stop, Huamin shouted. Everyone immediately stopped what they were doing and turned to look at him. Pudding immediately rushed over and cried, Mommy, will little sister be in danger? Deputy Director Huamin, you came at the right time. Look at this patient's family. The doctor didn't know the relationship between the child and Huamin, so he scolded him shamelessly. The child inside is my daughter, and this is my friend. Huamin introduced them briefly. Everyone was dumbfounded. The security guard immediately let go of Suyu's clothes. The male doctor was also dumbfounded. How's my daughter? Huamin asked the male doctor as he held Pudding in his arms. The child's condition isn't very good right now. We recommend immediate gastric lavage to remove the drugs that haven't spread in the stomach yet. Then we could do further analysis. Gastric lavage. Qin Shu's face immediately turned cold, and his eyes were cold. Gastric lavage was a cruel thing that even adults couldn't stand, let alone a child. Qin Shu and Huamin were both medical students, so they knew these steps too well. Inserting a tube into the stomach would not only cause pain, but also the feeling of wanting to vomit. Who could bear to do that? Gastric lavage? Huamin was also dumbfounded, and tears welled up in his eyes. Chapter 2164. Huamin, is there any other way? Suyu walked over anxiously. Don't worry, I'll go in and take a look. Huamin let go of Pudding's hand and turned around to go in. Mian, I'll go in with you. Qin Shu took off his jacket and threw it on the ground. He followed Huamin to the ER. Pudding and Suyu continued to wait at the door. Seeing that the higher-ups were fine, the male doctors didn't dare to make a fuss and immediately hid far away. Handsome Sue, how did Little Bean get poisoned? Pudding suddenly thought of an important question. That shouldn't be the case. You two ate the same thing last night. If there's really something wrong with the food, you're fine. Could it be that bowl of soup? Suyu suddenly realized. What soup? Pudding asked coldly. When Jiantong came, she gave me a bowl of soup and told me to drink it while it was hot. Before I could drink it, Little Bean said you had a fever, so I went upstairs. Could it be that Little Bean was greedy and drank the soup? So you guessed. But Jiantong wouldn't be brave enough to poison you. After all, the soup was meant for you. Pudding analyzed. Could it be? So you seem to have thought of something, but didn't say it out loud. What did you think? Pudding asked. Let's wait for your mommy and daddy's results. There's no doctor here who's better than them. Suyu felt that as long as Huamin and Qinshu were here, Little Bean would be fine. Plus, if she really got poisoned because of the soup, her life shouldn't be in danger. After all, Jian Tong didn't have a grudge against him and wouldn't poison him, unless it was another kind of medicine. If my sister really got poisoned because she drank that bitch's soup, then I'll make that bitch wish she was dead. Pudding had never hated anyone so much. Even a big bad guy like Huasi Qian didn't make her feel this way. She clenched her little fists tightly and wished that she could strangle bitch Jian to death at any moment. As time passed, Pudding and Suyu continued to wait outside. Huamin and Qin Chu changed into disinfectant gowns and entered the emergency room. They decided to personally pump their daughter's stomach. The moment the couple saw Little Bean in the emergency room, Huamin couldn't stop crying. Because of the medicine, Little Bean was a little dizzy from the heat. She was still talking nonsense. Mommy, I'm so hot. I want to eat ice cream. I want to eat cake with ice cubes and cola. It hurts. My head hurts. Mommy, am I going to die? Daddy, save me. When a child's consciousness was in a mess, he would say anything and everything would be incoherent. Qinshu was also heartbroken, but he knew that at this time, he had to be strong. Otherwise, if the couple broke down, who would save the child? Honey, does your hospital have painless gastric lavage? Yes, but painless gastric lavage requires a lot of anesthetics. She's so young, she'll definitely be affected. I don't want to, Huamin said as he cried. The assistant nurses around them couldn't bear to see their daughter like this, so they didn't dare to say anything. Get the anesthetics ready. I'll give her the anesthetics. I'll find a suitable trick that will make her suffer the least amount of pain and won't affect her. Well, will that work? Huamin was slightly surprised. Don't you trust me? Qinshu turned around and looked at Huamin seriously. Huamin was silent for 3 seconds. Biting his lip, he turned around and said to the nurse, anesthetics. Vice Director Hua, the baby is so young. Won't the anesthetics? Go get it. Huamin didn't wait for the nurse to finish and continued. Huamin leaned closer to Little Bean. Little Bean's cheeks were terrifyingly hot. Her body temperature was also very high. It was very scary. Little Bean, don't be scared. Mommy and Daddy are here. You have to be strong, Huamin said as he cried. Little Bean's nightgown was wet from his tears. Qinshu's heart ached so much that he almost suffocated. No matter how good a doctor was, it was cruel to save his own daughter. Vice Director Hua, anesthetics. The nurse immediately handed it over. Qinshu took the long syringe and took a deep breath. Honey, hold Little Bean down. Don't let her move. At this moment, Huamin's hands were shaking. Chapter 2165. Honey, do we really have to do this? Huamin couldn't bear to look at the long, cold anesthetic needles piercing her body. This way, the child will suffer less. Trust me, Qinshu had to encourage Huamin while under great pressure. At this moment, it was clear who was the spiritual pillar of the family. In fact, Qinshu also noticed that ever since Huamin became a mother, her mental endurance had decreased. Especially when it came to matters involving children, she would be like a helpless little girl. When they received Suyu's call, both of them were in a panic. Qinshu drove the whole way. Huamin didn't know where to put her hands. She was in a daze the whole way. When she heard that Little Bean was sent to South Side for resuscitation, Huamin's heart was on the verge of breaking down. Qinshu drove with one hand and put the other hand on Huamin's hand. He held her tightly and comforted her. After they arrived at South Side, Huamin was still emotional after entering the ore, so she was still uncertain. She panicked and didn't know what to do. Last year, there was a gynecology professor at South Side. Her daughter was in labor and was sent to the hospital in the middle of the night. In fact, it was just a simple cesarean section, but the professor couldn't bear to do it in front of his daughter. No matter how good a doctor she was and how professional she was, at this moment, she was just an ordinary mother. In the end, other gynecologists who lived nearby came and helped her with the surgery. At that time, Huamin didn't really understand this feeling. She thought that it was better to treat her family like an ordinary patient. However, in today's situation, she felt the determination of not being able to do it in front of her own family. Fortunately, Mr. Chin was decisive. While Huamin was lost in her thoughts, several nurses helped hold down the child. Chin Shu aimed at the child's spine and injected Little Bean with a mild anesthetic. Although it wasn't a lot, it was enough for a 3-year-old. Little Bean began to fall asleep. Pump the stomach immediately, Chin Shu ordered with a cold expression. The emergency room was a mess. Huamin did not dare to make a move during the entire process. Beads of sweat the size of beans appeared on his forehead. Whether it was anesthesia or gastric lavage, it was all done by Chin Shu himself. A few nurses helped to pass the tools to him. Huamin stood to the side, as if he was being tortured by 1,000 cuts. She even had a scary thought in her mind. If Little Bean's life was in danger, then how was she going to survive? It had to be said that Chin Shu's technique was quite fast and exquisite. All the nurses were dumbfounded. No one would have thought that Vice Director Ho's husband was not only a successful and ruthless CEO, but also an outstanding doctor. After pumping Little Bean's stomach, Chin Shu took out the mucus that hadn't been broken down yet and carefully placed it on a sterilized tray. Hurry up and get it tested. I want to know what it is as soon as possible. Yes. The nurses didn't dare to delay and hurried to get it tested. Sure enough, within 10 minutes, the results came out. Chin Shu and Huamin were both dumbfounded when they heard the results. According to our test results, this is an aphrodisiac. It's fast and strong. There are also some hallucinogenic ingredients in it. Huamin felt like his head was going to explode when he heard the results. Aphrodisiac? How could this be? Huamin felt a chill run down his spine. Chapter 2166. How could such a young child be poisoned with something as vicious as an aphrodisiac? Chin Shu's face grew darker and darker. However, his rationality told him that he had to save the child first. Knowing that it was an aphrodisiac, he was actually a little relieved. After all, the toxin was very small and wouldn't be life-threatening. If it was rat poison or cockroach poison, the child's organs would have started to fail by now. Chin Shu turned around and told the nurses to prepare the antidote and nutrient solution. After the gastric lavage, Little Bean looked very weak and pale. After the antidote was put on the 4, everything stabilized. Huamian didn't leave Little Bean's side, crying and crying. After Chin Shu took care of everything, he walked over and hugged Huamin's head. Honey, don't cry. Little Bean is fine. Her life is not in danger. After the gastric lavage, the remaining drugs will be broken down by the 4. When she wakes up tomorrow morning, she will be able to eat porridge. Okay. Huamin nodded heavily. Then, the couple pushed the hospital bed out. Chin Shu told the medical staff, "Take my daughter to VIP room 1. We need to take care of something." Okay, no problem. The nurses carefully pushed Little Bean into the room. When Suyu saw Little Bean, he immediately ran up to her. How is she? How's Little Bean? Suyu's heart was in agony. Before Suyu could reach the bed, Chin Shu grabbed him by the collar. Then, without saying anything, he punched him. Daddy, why did you hit handsome Su? Pudding ran up and hugged Chin Shu's leg. Pudding, get up. This is between adults. Chin Shu looked down at his daughter with a serious expression. Suyu was dizzy from Chin Shu's punch and almost fell down. However, he didn't have any intention of fighting back because he felt extremely guilty. He didn't want anything to happen to Little Bean, but it happened in his house. If he hadn't mercifully let that woman, Jian Tong, in and sent her some pork bone soup, how could so many things have happened? Suyu, Mian and I trusted you and gave you the children. What happened? Look at what you've done to them. Chin Shu angrily pointed at Suyu, as if he wanted to rush up and hit him. Honey, now is not the time to fight. We need to find out the truth. Huamin grabbed onto Chin Shu and stopped him from hitting Suyu. Huamin, how is Little Bean? Is she okay? What's the situation now? Suyu looked at Huamin anxiously and asked, Little Bean is fine. We pumped her stomach and saved her. But I want to ask, why did she take aphrodisiacs? Huamin frowned and looked at Suyu. Aphrodisiacs? Looks like I was right. That evil woman. Su Yu's heart sank. It seemed like he was right. At the same time, he hated Jian Tong to the core. At this moment, Pudding was quick-witted and immediately said, "Daddy, Mommy, you can't blame handsome Su for this. He didn't do it. He's so good to us. How could he bear to hurt us?" "I know what's going on. It must be bitch Jian, that evil woman." "Jian Tong? But so late. Why is she at your house?" Huamin looked at Su Yu in confusion. Chapter 2167. Su Yu wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth and answered calmly, "That night, Jian Tong came over and said she wanted to bring me some soup. I didn't drink it, and she talked to me about work. I was in a hurry to get rid of her, but Little Bean came downstairs and told me that she had a fever. I didn't think much of it and went upstairs. I didn't expect Little Bean to drink the soup when she was downstairs. I also didn't know that there was an aphrodisiac in the soup. I really didn't know that Jian Tong had the guts to do something like that. If I knew, I wouldn't have let Little Bean be alone with her." All that was left in Su Yu's heart was regret. He wished he could turn back time and kick Jian Tong out. Then, the tragedy wouldn't have happened. "I see. What about the soup? Do you still have the evidence?" Huamin asked. "No, I didn't see her when I came downstairs. She probably took it away. I don't know if Jian Tong made Little Bean drink it or if Little Bean drank it herself. We'll have to wait until Little Bean wakes up tomorrow." Su Yu explained. "Where does that woman live?" Qin Chu asked with a dark expression. After hearing Qin Chu's question, Su Yu and Huamin both froze. "Give me her address." Qin Chu looked at Su Yu coldly. "Qin Chu, don't worry. I won't let Little Bean suffer for nothing. Even if Jian Tong is an artist under my company, I won't let her get away with it." Su Yu immediately knew what Qin Chu was going to do, so he promised. "I don't need your promise. I'll take care of my own family." After speaking, Qin Chu turned around and gently stroked Huamin's cheek. "Honey, stay here and take care of our daughter. I'm going out for a bit." "Honey, don't be impulsive." Huamin was also worried about Qin Chu's condition. "Don't worry, I know what to do." After saying that, Qin Chu directly walked out. Then, as he walked, he made a call. "I want Jian Tong's address. I'll give you 5 minutes. Get it for me immediately." Gao Ran was still in a daze, but after hearing Qin Chu's words, he immediately became more awake. "Why do you want Jian Tong's address? Are you interested in her?" Gao Ran was still joking. "I'm not in a mood to joke with you. Send it to my phone in 5 minutes. That's all." After that, Qin Chu quickly hung up the phone. Gao Ren immediately called the bureau and asked the household registration department to investigate Jian Tong's address and then send it to Qin Chu. At this moment, Jian Tong was in her private mansion, trembling with fear. In fact, she regretted it after doing that thing. She didn't want things to turn out like this. At first, she was a little selfish, so she asked for some aphrodisiac from her friends. She heard that men couldn't take it after taking it. So, she wanted to go to Su Yu's house in the middle of the night and take the opportunity to drug him. As long as she went to bed, Su Yu wouldn't reject her anymore, right? Unexpectedly, the twins stayed over at Su Yu's house, and Little Bean, who had always been a glutton, even drank the soup. In fact, if Little Bean wanted to drink it, she would have stopped her. If she stopped her in time, then all of this wouldn't have happened. The bad thing was that Jian Tong had an evil thought at that moment. She added her hatred for Huamin and the twins. Therefore, she watched the 3-year-old drink the soup with the aphrodisiac. Luckily, Little Bean didn't drink a lot, only a spoonful. Otherwise, who knew what would have happened? After Jian Tong got home, she began to feel uneasy. She felt like something was going to happen. She didn't know how the kids would react after eating it. Would Su Yu punish her? Would Qin Chu and Huamin let her go? 1:30 a.m., Jian Tong didn't feel sleepy at all. She hesitated for a while and finally called her assistant. "Help me find a ticket to Thailand. I have to leave immediately." Chapter 2168. "Miss Yiling, this is so sudden. Don't you have work tomorrow?" Her assistant was dumbfounded. "I'm not feeling well. I don't want to do anything. Can you help me book a first-class flight? The sooner the better, I have to leave. I have to leave. Jiantong was slightly agitated. Okay, please wait a moment. I'll call you back in a bit. Her assistant immediately followed Jiantong's instructions and looked at the flight tickets. After she made the call, she immediately got up and went upstairs to pack her suitcase. She randomly grabbed a few dresses and some daily necessities before rushing downstairs. Just then, her assistant called. Miss Yiling, I saw it. There's a flight that leaves at 6:30 a.m. Isn't that a bit too rushed? It's not rushed. I'll take this flight. I'm going to the airport right now. Why are you in such a hurry? Her assistant was also confused. It was the middle of the night, so why was she suddenly going on a trip? Her assistant hurriedly booked a first-class flight for Jiantong to Thailand. Then, she sent the flight information to her WeChat. Jiantong dragged her luggage out of the house in the middle of the night and got into her white Lamborghini. After she got into her sports car and drove out of the neighborhood, she saw a bright light coming from the opposite direction. After Qin Shu received the address, he immediately drove over. When he arrived at Jiantong's neighborhood, he saw the white Lamborghini driving towards him. This was because the information Gao Ran gave him included Jiantong's cell phone number, home address, and license plate number. Therefore, Qin Shu immediately recognized that it was Jiantong's car. You want to run? Qin Shu's face darkened as he sped up and rushed over. Jiantong didn't even have time to see who it was or what car it was before she heard a loud crash. The two cars crashed into each other, making a loud noise. Because Qin Shu was the one who crashed into her, the impact was very strong. Both of their airbags popped out, but because Jiantong was in a passive state, the moment her car was destroyed, she felt a sharp pain. She also felt a piercing pain all over her body, as if her internal organs were about to be pushed out. Following that, her vision turned black, and she fainted. Qin Shu also suffered some internal injuries. Enduring the pain, he got up and walked out of the car. Then he spat out a mouthful of blood and walked over to check on Jiantong. He found that the white Lamborghini was in a terrible state and was beyond recognition. The woman in the driver's seat was covered in glass shards and blood flowed like a river. Qin Shu looked on coldly. In fact, he should have gotten into the car and continued to hit Jiantong a second time, directly sending her to the underworld. However, he felt that doing so would be letting this woman off too easily. Perhaps it would be better for her to suffer a fate worse than death. After all, this woman was vicious enough to harm his 3-year-old daughter and drug little Bean with an aphrodisiac. That was unforgivable. Because it was a wealthy area, the police and ambulances rushed over as soon as the car accident happened. Qin Shu and Jiantong were both sent to the nearby South Side Recuperation Center. When Huamin heard that Qin Shu was also injured, his heart sank. She ran to the emergency room in a hurry. Honey, what happened to you? Huamin's face turned pale when she saw Qin Shu in such a sorry state. After everything that happened tonight, she couldn't take another blow. I'm fine. I avenged little Bean, Qin Shu said tiredly. Huamin felt a lump in her throat and hugged Qin Shu tightly. Honey, you scare me to death. Huamian's heart-wrenching cries followed. I'm fine, don't cry. Qin Shu gently hugged Huamin with his blood-stained hands and comforted her in a low voice. Huamin called home, and her mother and Jixin came to take care of the twins and the injured Qin Shu. After everything was settled, the sun had already risen. Huamin walked out of the hospital room, exhausted and with bloodshot eyes. Suyu leaned against the wall, his beard unshaven. He looked at Huamin with guilt and said softly, Mian, I'm sorry. Chapter 2169. I can't blame you for this. Huamin's eyes were unfocused, and his voice was hoarse. As she spoke, she walked up to Suyu and leaned against the wall with him. Then, she took out a cigarette from her white lab coat and put it in her mouth. Before she could light it up, Suyu snatched it away, threw it on the ground, and stomped on it. Mian, I beg you, don't do this. I know you're sad and bitter. Hit me, yell at me. Don't hurt yourself. Suyu knew that Huamin was such a well-behaved person that he would only show his rebellious side when he was under great pressure. He would smoke to relieve his stress. In the past few years, he had seen Huamin do this a few times, but he really didn't like this decadent Huamin. It was as if he wasn't the same person as usual. "It's just a cigarette. Don't make such a big deal out of it," Huamin said as he reached into the pocket of his lab coat. He wanted to take out more cigarettes, but Suyu held him down. "I beg you. Please don't do this. I'll die of sadness." Suyu was already blaming himself and was very sad. When he saw Huamian become like this because of what had happened, he felt like he was being cut into pieces by a knife. "Okay, I won't smoke." Huamin smiled bitterly. "I really didn't expect what happened tonight. I'm wondering if I've been too soft-hearted lately and indulged Jian Tong too much." Suyu sighed slightly. "There's no use regretting what happened. We can only face it bravely. Actually, this isn't your problem. If Jian Tong wanted to do something to them, you wouldn't be able to stop her. You could stop her temporarily, but you can't stop her dark heart. Jian Tong and I have a deep-rooted hatred for each other. I should have been prepared for this. It's also my fault that I didn't leave it to the kids." Huamin began to blame himself. "Jian Tong and you have a deep-rooted hatred for each other?" So you didn't know that Jian Tong and Huamin had such a bad relationship. Every time Jian Tong appeared in front of Suyu, she was calm, elegant, and even understanding. It was because of her good disguise, Suyu always thought that Jian Tong was one of the more sensible female artists under the company. Therefore, he was a little more lenient with her than the others. He didn't think she would cause such a big mess. Huamian tilted her head and glanced at Suyu. "You're not that stupid. Let me ask you, how do you think Jian Tong treats you?" "Very good. She's the one who treats me the best among all the female artists under the company. She's also the one who's been with me the longest. We've dated before. Compared to Zhao Qingya and Mian, who have big boobs but no brains, always thought Jian Tong was smart and rational." Suyu replied, "Would you believe me if I told you she loves you very much?" Huamin asked quietly. "It's hard to say. Love is too hard to define. First, I have to see what she wants. If she loves me because I'm the only son of the Su family, because I'm the president of Imperial Star, the arrogant young Master Su, then this love is a little too much. If she loves me because I'm Suyu, then maybe it's a little pure." Suyu lowered his head and said slowly, "No matter what she wants, she loves you. At least she thinks she loves you very much. But you've been thinking about me all these years. What do you think Jian Tong will think of me?" Huamin asked. Huamin's question left Suyu speechless. Chapter 2170. Jian Tong warned me more than once in private, and she even mocked me. Of course, that's the side of her that you can't see. After all, she pretends to be a different side of herself in front of you. I can understand what Jian Tong was thinking. She thought that I was the biggest reason why you didn't accept her, and that I was the stumbling block in her pursuit of happiness. Pudding and Little Bean have always been hostile towards her, so as time went by, the resentment accumulated and exploded. Maybe Jian Tong brought you the soup because she wanted something to happen between the two of you, but she didn't expect my daughters to be in your house. In the end, she decided to coax, lie to, or watch Little Bean drink the soup that was laced with aphrodisiac. No matter what the reason was, she knew what was in the soup, but she still watched Little Bean drink it. That's unforgivable, and I won't be merciful. Maybe you think that Qin Shu was too cruel to hit her with his car, but in my eyes, at this moment, my husband is a great man. He's a father who wants to protect his daughters, a father who wants to seek justice for his children." Huamian said word by word. "I don't think Qin Shu is cruel. In fact, even if he didn't do that, I still wouldn't let Jian Tong go. You're right. Her crime is unforgivable. A woman who would hurt a child has a vicious heart. I just think that in order to hit her, Qin Shu was implicated and got into a car accident. Although his injuries weren't serious, it wasn't necessary. You're already exhausted from Little Bean's accident. Now that he's in this state, how are you going to handle it?" Suyu's heart ached for Huamin. "I'm okay. I'm really okay. As long as they're okay, I can handle it." Huamin nodded, exhausted. The two of them chatted in the hallway for a long time. Suyu's heart was filled with guilt. He kept blaming himself for Little Bean's accident because he was too careless and allowed Jian Tong to do it. He also blamed himself for not dealing with Jian Tong sooner, which allowed her to take advantage of him and cause a disaster. 6 o'clock in the morning, Zhang Xiaowei, Wei Liao, Gao Ran, and Zhu Lingling rushed to Southside. When Gao Ran called Qin Chu again, it was Huang Min who answered. She briefly explained the situation. In the end, the four of them rushed over. Oh my God, so many things happened in one night. How is little Bean? Zhu Lingling was scared out of her wits. She's fine now. My mom is taking care of her. She hasn't woken up yet. How about Mr. Qin? Are his injuries serious? Zhang Xiaowei asked. It's not serious, just some internal injuries. He didn't sleep much last night, and just fell asleep. Zhixin is taking care of him. You didn't sleep last night either, did you? Zhang Xiaowei looked at Huang Min with heartache. Huang Min nodded. Lord Su, how could you make such a mistake? You shouldn't have. Wei Liao looked at Su Yu in disbelief. It was indeed incomprehensible that something happened to the twins at Su Yu's house. Su Yu treated the twins like his own father and took care of them in every possible way. The twins wanted the moon, but he would never give them the stars. However, the tragedy was that this time it happened at Su Yu's house, and it was all because of Su Yu. It's my fault. I deserve to die. If anything happened to little Bean, I wouldn't be able to face me on. Su Yu still blamed himself. It already happened. It's not the time to blame anyone. Lord Su, don't take it to heart. We're lucky that the twins are fine. Zhang Xiaowei was an expert in psychology, so she understood how Su Yu felt. She didn't want to burden him anymore. Qin Chu was too reckless this time. How could he hit someone with his car? Even if he wanted to do it, he should have asked someone else to do it. Gao Ran frowned. Then, he looked at Huang Min and asked, How's Jian Tong now? Is she dead? Chapter 2171. She's not dead. She's in the ICU, Huang Min said faintly. What are you guys going to do next? Do you want to kill her? Gao Ran knew that this time, even if that bitch Jian died 10,000 times, it wouldn't be enough. To be honest, I don't know. My husband will take care of it. Huang Min didn't know what to do either. Although she wanted to kill that bitch Jian Tong as well, she wouldn't act rashly. Plus, Mr. Qin bumped into her this time. Even if she didn't die, she would be half dead. That's good too. We need to take care of little Bean now. You guys almost scared us to death. Zhu Lingling was still in shock. Everyone went to Southside to check on the kids and Qin Chu. They didn't leave until they saw that little Bean was fine. Su didn't sleep the whole night. He looked haggard, but he didn't want to leave. Go back to sleep. Little Bean is fine now, Huang Min urged. I'm not sleepy yet. I want to go in and see her. Su Yu's voice was also hoarse. Then come with me. Huang Min hesitated for a moment before leading Su Yu into the hospital room. Huang Min's mother quietly left the room. Little Bean had just woken up, and the flush on her face had faded. Mommy, handsome Su. Her voice was still soft and pleasant to the ears. Little Bean, how do you feel now? Su Yu walked up and squatted on the hospital bed, holding Little Bean's little hand. My stomach doesn't feel good and my back hurts a little, Little Bean said as she reached out to touch her back. However, Huang Min stopped her. He held Little Bean's hand and comforted her. Don't be scared, baby. Daddy gave you an injection because you ate something bad and will get sick. That's why he gave you an injection and medicine for your own good. You have to be strong. Ate something bad. Looks like it was bitch Jian who gave me the soup. Little Bean carefully recalled. Huang Min asked, Little Bean, did you drink it yourself, or did she make you drink it? What was the situation at that time? Little Bean widened her big watery eyes and carefully recalled the scene at that time. Then, he slowly told them what had happened. Huang Min and Su Yu's faces darkened. She really did see my daughter drink the soup with her own eyes. How could she be so vicious? Huang Min felt a chill in her heart. She thought that Jian Tong was just a hypocrite who liked to play dirty tricks behind people's backs. She didn't expect Jian Tong to be so vicious. Although she didn't make Jian Tong drink the soup, she did see her daughter drink it with her own eyes. She knew that Jian Tong had an aphrodisiac in it, but she still let her daughter drink it. Little Bean, it's Uncle Su's fault. He gave the bad guys a chance to hurt you. Uncle Su will get justice for you. Handsome Su, I'm fine. Don't worry, I've always been lucky. Last time, when Mommy and I were kidnapped and tied to a bomb, I wasn't. Huh? Little Bean tried to make a joke to ease everyone's tension. However, she found that her Mommy and Handsome Sue's expressions became even more serious after she said that. Mommy, where's Daddy? Little Bean changed the topic. Daddy's tired. He's sleeping in a room next door. Hwamin comforted her. Then, where's Sis? Sis is tired too. She's sleeping in Mommy's office. She'll come see you in a bit. Are you hungry? Do you want some kanji? Hwamin leaned over and touched his daughter's head. He was relieved when he found that she didn't have a fever. Okay. Mommy, I want kanji with pork and century egg and beef dumplings. Baby, you can't eat something so oily. You can only eat kanji, but you can choose rice or millet. Hwamin corrected her. Kanji is tasteless. What's the difference between rice and millet? Mommy, are you kidding me? Little Bean seemed unhappy. Hwamion's heart was finally at ease when she saw Hwamion come back to life. I'm going out to buy some kanji for Little Bean. Suyu stood up and left. Hwami noticed that Suyu's face was gloomy, and he seemed to be angry. Outside the ICU, when Suyu arrived, Jiantong's agent and family members were all there. There were a lot of people outside the door. President Su, you're here. Everyone greeted Suyu respectfully when they saw him. What's the situation? Suyu asked coldly. Chapter 2172. President Su, you're just in time. I've called you many times. Jiantong's agent looked at Suyu as if she saw her savior. Just as she was about to continue, the door to the ICU opened and the doctor and nurse walked out. Doctor, how's my daughter? Jiantong's mother asked in tears. Miss Jian's injuries are very serious. Her internal organs are severely damaged, and she just had surgery. Many of her ribs are broken. Also, during the car accident, the glass shattered, and a lot of glass shards pierced her body and face. Although we've already done surgery to repair them, there might still be scars on her face. Also, the patient's emotions are very unstable, so we gave her a sedative. We suggest that you visit her in 24 hours. That's all. After the doctor's words, Jiantong's parents and family members cried together. Her agent also wailed. Why is Tong Tong's life so miserable? How could something like this happen to her? She even had her assistant book a flight to Thailand for a vacation. How could she get into a car accident? All right, President Su, did you know? The person who hit Miss Jian was... Before the agent could finish, Suyu cut her off. I know who it was. I don't need you to tell me. Suyu cut her off mercilessly. Seeing Suyu's attitude, the agent froze for a second before she continued to cry. President Su, you have to get justice for Tong Tong. Even if GK is rich and powerful, they can't bully people like this. That's a crime punishable by murder. Don't talk nonsense if you don't know the truth. Were you there? Suyu asked angrily. The agent was speechless. I'll take care of this. Before that, if you accept any media interviews or talk nonsense, you'll have to bear the consequences. Do you hear me? Suyu warned angrily. President Su, is there an inside story? Jiantong's parents understood Suyu's meaning and stopped crying. They looked at Suyu in confusion. You should wait until your precious daughter wakes up and ask her what she did. Then, Suyu turned around and left because of Suyu's order. The news of Jiantong's car accident had been sealed off. Anyone who went overboard with this matter was also strictly controlled. After all, they didn't want to involve public opinion. When Suyu heard that Jiantong wasn't dead, he came to denounce her and listened to Little Bean's account of how she drank the soup. Suyu wanted to strangle Jiantong to death. He even thought that if Little Bean died, Jiantong would have to die with her. This woman actually dared to harm a 3-year-old child. She was truly inhumane. Suyu walked out of the hospital to buy porridge for Little Bean. Along the way, he was thinking about a question. Jiantong didn't seem like an irrational person. Why would she do something so reckless? Could it be that she had harmed Little Bean? Would Qin Shu, Hwamin, and himself let her go? You can't live with the evil you brought on yourself. Suyu didn't dare to say anything else, but he knew that whether Jiantong lived or died, she was done for. Even if Huamin could forgive that woman, he would never let her go. It seemed like Qin Shu was merciful this time. Otherwise, he would have killed her. Qin Shu bandaged his wound in the next room and got an anti-inflammatory shot. After a nap, he finally woke up. "Brother-in-law, you're awake. I'll go get my sister." Seeing that Qin Shu had woken up, Jixin immediately ran next door and called Huamin. Huamin didn't sleep the entire night. His eyes were dry and swollen. "Honey, how are you? Does it still hurt?" Qin Shu shook his head. His lips were pale. "Where's Little Bean?" Little Bean woke up. "She's fine now. I just checked on her. Her vitals are back to normal. That's good." After speaking, Qin Shu slowly got up. "Don't move. Lie down and rest," Huamin ordered. "I'm fine. It's not that serious. The child is fine. Let's not stay here. Prepare the medicine and go home. We'll leave the hospital and go home." After speaking, Mr. Qin pulled out the foredrip from his hand. "Honey, we're leaving the hospital now." Huamin was shocked. Chapter 2173. After a whole night, Qin Shu and Huamin were exhausted. Most importantly, Qin Shu didn't like the feeling of being in the hospital. It reminded him of the gray days when he was recovering in a foreign hospital after his leg surgery a few years ago. That was why he wanted to be discharged. "Yes, discharged. I don't like it here." Qin Shu didn't say much, but he strongly wanted to leave the hospital. "Okay." Huamin thought about it and agreed. In the end, he couldn't change Mr. Qin's mind, so he nodded in agreement. Qin Shu tried his best to stay upright. He walked to the next room and carried Little Bean out of the bed. Then, Huamin held Little Bean's hand, and the family of 4 left the hospital. Huamin followed behind Qin Shu and suddenly realized how strong his husband was at that moment. He was willing to give up everything for his daughter. Now that he was holding his daughter home, he was full of fatherly love. When Suyu came back with the kanji, he saw the family get into the car and leave. Suyu wanted to call out to Huamin and give the kanji to Little Bean, but he hesitated. In the end, Suyu watched as the family of 4 left Southside. Suyu quietly left the hospital with the kanji and returned to the company. South Hill Manor. After a whole night, Little Bean was also tired. Little Bean had just recovered and didn't look very good. Huamin prepared the medicine from the hospital and injected it into Little Bean's body. Huamin's mother took care of the twins. Qin Shu and Huamin sat on the sofa in the living room upstairs. The atmosphere was heavy. "Sis, brother-in-law, if there's nothing else, I'll go to the company first." Jixin was finally relieved to see that his brother-in-law and Little Bean had been discharged. "Go ahead. You'll have to take care of the company for the next few days. If you can't make up your mind, you can discuss the small matters with Assistant Yang and Bella. If it's a big matter, you can call me or your brother-in-law. However, your brother-in-law is recuperating from his injuries, so it's better not to disturb his rest," Huamin said. "I got it, sis. I'll be off then." Jixin then left for work. Huamin carefully disinfected Qin Shu's wounds with iodophor. His movements were very gentle. "Honey, do you blame me?" Qin Shu asked gently. Huamin paused and looked up. "Blame you for what?" "It's my fault for being too reckless. I could have asked someone else to do it, but I insisted on doing it myself. I even got injured and made you worry about me. If I said that you knew that I blamed you, would you still do it?" Huamin asked calmly. "Yes, even if I had to do it all over again, I would still do it." Qin Shu's attitude was extremely firm. Huamin nodded and said as she disinfected Qin Shu's wound, "There's no point in blaming you because I knew you had to do it yourself. After Little Bean's accident, you've been suppressing your anger until you heard that it was because of Jian Tong's actions. The truth is, the two of us are just a little calmer than other people, but we're still humans and have emotions that we can't let go of. Therefore, when our loved ones are hurt, of course we're furious. Only when we do it ourselves will we feel better. You want to avenge your daughter? I understand how you feel. If it were me, I would probably do the same, just like how I arrogantly ran over Huasiqian with my car. Although others might think that it's reckless, ridiculous, and even inappropriate, Mr. Qin, I want to say that I agree with what you did because the moment you ran over Huasiqian with your car, you were just a father who wanted to avenge his child." Huamin's words deeply touched Qin Shu's heart. He reached out and pulled Huamin into his arms. Then he placed her on his lap. I knew you knew me the best, Qin Chu whispered in her ear. Then he gently kissed the loose hair behind her ear. Don't. We're in the living room. There's so many people watching. Huamin was shy. Chapter 2174. Honey, you're thinking too much again, aren't you? I really just want to hold you quietly. Really, sometimes I even want to do nothing and just be with you every day. That would be so blissful, living a simple and comfortable life and not caring about anything else. Qin Chu said slowly. Of course I agree. Huamin chuckled. Then wouldn't I be a freeloader? You don't despise me? Qin Chu teased her on purpose. Puffed. You've been a freeloader for a long time now, okay? Huamin said proudly. Qin Chu, ever since someone became the vice director, she's become more and more arrogant. I'm losing my status at home. Qin Chu purposely mocked Huamin. So you should be glad that I'm the vice director. If President Wu retires in a few years, I'll become the director. Then, I'll be able to go to heaven and no one will listen to me. Huamin pouted and continued to act arrogantly. It's okay. No matter where you go, I'll follow you closely. I'll definitely keep pace with you. Huamin laughed heartily when she heard this. Okay, then I'll try to walk slowly so that I don't lose you. Huamin, who hadn't slept a wink the entire night, finally fell asleep in Qin Chu's arms. She knew that her child and husband were fine. Therefore, she let down her guard and fell asleep peacefully. Qin Chu saw that she was sleeping soundly, so he didn't have the heart to wake her up. He carried her up and placed her on the sofa downstairs. Then he took a blanket from Uncle Li and covered Huamin with it. Sir, do you want a young lady to sleep in a room? Uncle Li still felt that it was inappropriate to sleep in the living room. Qin Chu shook his head. No, it's rare for her to sleep so well. You guys can go downstairs. Put on some light music. Oh, and put some incense here so that she can sleep more. Yes, sir. Uncle Li sent all the servants away as instructed. Huamin fell asleep on the sofa. The small speaker in the living room was playing an old English song. The sound was very soft, but was very charming. There was a small incense burner on the coffee table. Inside, it was a high-quality incense burner. Huamin slept for more than 3 hours. She also had a beautiful dream. She dreamed that when she was very young, she and Jixin went to the countryside to play. There were clear rivers, small yellow wildflowers all over the mountains, free kites, and green rice fields. Qin Chu was not sleepy at all. After seeing that Huamin had fallen asleep, he went upstairs directly. Chu, is your hand okay? Yang Mirong asked with concern when she saw Qin Chu walk in. I'm fine, Mom. You didn't sleep well last night either. Go get some rest. I'll take care of them. You're still injured. I'm not tired. Let me take care of them. Yang Meirong knew that her son-in-law loved his daughters, but she was also worried about his injuries from the car accident. It's okay. It'll heal in 2 or 3 days. Plus, Mian just disinfected and bandaged it. It should be fine. Yang Meirong nodded at Qin Chu's insistence. She left the twins' room and went downstairs to prepare lunch. Pudding was already asleep. Her little body was curled up on one side of the bed. Little Bean, on the other hand, was not sleepy at all. Her big eyes were darting around. Her hand was still connected to N4. Daddy, you're here? Little Bean began to act cute. Even her voice was cute. When Mommy gave you the injection, did it hurt? Qin Chu asked as he gently held Little Bean's chubby hand. Chapter 2175. It doesn't hurt. Mommy's skills are amazing. I didn't even feel anything. Plus, I'm so fat. But she found the blood vessels right away. She's awesome. Little Bean was naturally optimistic, so her tone was relaxed and funny. Qin Chu couldn't help but smile. Your mommy is such an excellent doctor. This is nothing to her. Daddy, I heard that you ran over Bimbo Jian with your car because of me and got hurt. Daddy, it's fine. It's just a scratch. Qin Chu comforted his daughter gently. Daddy loves Little Bean. Little Bean knows that. But Little Bean still hopes that Daddy can take care of yourself. Don't hurt yourself because of your emotions. Little Bean lectured Qin Chu like a little adult. Qin Chu replied patiently, Daddy, didn't let his emotions get the better of him. She did something to hurt you, so Daddy has to teach her a lesson. At the mention of this, Little Bean suddenly asked, Daddy, did you hit Handsome Sue? Yeah. Will Little Bean be sad? Will you be unhappy because Daddy hit Suyu? Chin Chu asked carefully. Although he knew that his twin daughters loved him deeply, he wasn't as confident as Suyu. In fact, if his daughter said that she was unhappy, he wouldn't know how to continue the conversation. First of all, I won't be sad because Daddy hit Handsome Sue. Daddy loves you so much. It happened so suddenly that you and Mommy were worried sick. I was poisoned at Handsome Sue's house. It happened so suddenly that you weren't prepared for it. So, I think it's normal for you to blame Handsome Sue. I won't be unhappy because of that. Really? To be honest, Chin Chu was relieved that his daughter didn't blame him. Of course it's true. I never lie. Sometimes, I just like to suck up to you. Little Bean stuck out her tongue. Chin Chu smiled. But Daddy, can you stop blaming Handsome Sue? Now that the truth is out, we can't let Handsome Sue take the blame. He has nothing to do with this. In fact, what bitch Jian did was outrageous. More importantly, Handsome Sue must be very sad about what happened to me. Although he doesn't love me as much as Daddy does, he has treated me and my sister like his own for the past few years. So, I really don't want Daddy, Mommy, and Handsome Sue to be estranged because of this. Daddy understands what you're saying. Daddy won't blame him. It's all in the past. Also, I really didn't know what was going on at that time. I only heard that you were poisoned and got anxious, so I beat him up. After I understood the situation, I wasn't so angry with him anymore. Chin Chu was just stating facts. Even if the child didn't say anything, he couldn't blame Suyu. Every wrong had its perpetrator, and every debt had its debtor. What Jian Tong did, he couldn't let an innocent person like Suyu bear the responsibility. I knew Daddy is the smartest, greatest, and wisest man in the world. Little Bean grinned. You only know how to flatter me. I haven't had the chance to scold you yet. Don't be so greedy in the future. You need to learn this from your sister. Luckily, your life wasn't in danger this time. Otherwise, how could your mommy and I live? Chin Chu pinched Little Bean's face. This really was a bloody lesson. You're right. I was too greedy. I even dared to eat the food that bitch Jian gave me. I really don't know what else to say. But it's good. I'm very satisfied with this result. Satisfied with what? Chin Chu was surprised. He suddenly felt that he couldn't keep up with his daughter's logic. Chapter 2176. Although I almost died, bitch Jian won't be able to make a comeback. This is an unexpected gain, Little Bean said. Chin Chu was completely speechless. His daughter was only 3 years old. Was it really okay for her to think so much? Daddy, is there something you find strange? What is it? Chin Chu was curious. Handsome Sue has been in the entertainment industry for so many years. He should have seen through a person's nature, but he couldn't see through bitch Jian. Little Bean said slowly. Chin Chu was silent for 3 seconds and looked at his daughter seriously. It's not that Suyu can't see through her. He saw through her a long time ago. He also knows what kind of person Jiantong is. Sometimes, he just uses her as a shield or cannon fodder. Let's not talk about using her. They both take what they need. Jiantong wants fame, money, and status. And Suyu just wants a woman who can escape from his heart. So, even if he knows that woman is a white lotus, he still indulges her. Plus, before this, Jiantong didn't do anything out of line. Chin Chu calmly analyzed Suyu's thoughts. Reality proved that he was right. Suyu wasn't an idiot. He saw through everything. He just didn't want to embarrass Wamin. So, he and Jiantong had been acting. At that time, Suyu was using Jiantong to create hype. Jiantong was very obedient and understanding. After all, Suyu was a man. He felt guilty for doing this. So, even if he didn't like Jiantong, he still wanted to make it up to her in terms of money, fame, and career. Plus, Jiantong was one of the most popular actresses in Imperial Star. Suyu always thought that she knew what she was doing. He had never expected such a thing to happen this time. So it was indeed unfair to blame Suyu now. He couldn't always look at things from other people's perspective. After all, no one was in Suyu's position. Daddy, I can see that you're a wise man. You didn't look at handsome Sue as a love rival, and you didn't blame him for what happened. Now I know why Mommy likes you so much." Little Bean looked at her father with admiration. Why? Chin Shu felt that the little bean was about to start sucking up to him again. Sure enough, Little Bean gave him a thumbs up. "Daddy, you're a broad-minded person who can achieve great things. You have a clear, calm, and long-term vision." In other words, if handsome Sue were to look at Daddy, he wouldn't be so impartial. "Daddy, I suddenly feel that being your daughter is the happiest thing that has ever happened to me and my sister. So, the two of you must have saved the Milky Way in your previous life." Chin Shu smiled. "Daddy, who saved the Milky Way?" Little Bean woke up in a daze. She was finally woken up by her daddy and little sister's conversation. "Daddy saved the Milky Way. That's why I met you two and your mommy in my previous life." Chin Shu changed his words. "Oh, Daddy, you're so smart. You changed your words as soon as you saw my sister wake up." Little Bean laughed. Little Bean got up and turned to look at her sister's drip. "Daddy, Little Bean's medicine is almost out. Do you want to get me another one? I'll keep an eye on it. It'll be fine." Chin Shu's heart was filled with warmth when he saw the sisters loving each other when they weren't quarreling. So you also didn't sleep that night. He forced himself to go to the company, but he wasn't in the mood to do anything. After handing the drip to one, he drove to Wei Liao's company. "Is President Wei in his office?" Su Yu asked listlessly at the front desk of the Wei family group. Chapter 2177. President Wei is here. "President Su, please go upstairs." The receptionist didn't dare to be slow. The truth was they should be drinking with Tang Chuan and getting drunk. However, Tang Chuan was extremely unreliable. In order to pursue Qin Ning, he went to the States alone. It was said that after he arrived, he started a freeload at Qin Ning's house. He even followed Qin Ning to and from work and worked as an errand boy at GK Corporation. What was even more surprising was that Qin Ning's father, Qin Shu's second uncle, didn't kick him out. Qin Shu's uncle even treated him warmly. This was one of the few stories in the world. Wei Liao was also quite busy at the company. However, he had one good thing about him. No matter how busy he was, he wouldn't leave work. After work, he wouldn't attend any events. Instead, he would go home and spend time with his wife and children. Wei Yunchu's personality was similar to Wei Liao's. He didn't talk much, but he was very smart. He wasn't as logical as his mother, Jiang Xiaowei, but he was still young and needed to be trained. "You don't look well." In Wei Liao's office, the two of them were drinking whiskey. Wei Liao looked at Su Yu's haggard face and couldn't help but ask, "Yeah, I haven't slept for a day and a night. Then why aren't you sleeping? Why did you come out to drink?" "I don't feel well. I feel like something's pressing down on my heart." Su Yu held a glass of whiskey in one hand and pointed at his heart with the other. "Are you feeling guilty towards Huamin because of what happened to Little Bean? Or are you afraid that this will cause a rift between you and Huamin or the twins?" Wei Liao immediately saw the crux of the problem. Su Yu didn't say anything. Instead, he downed the whiskey in his glass and sighed. "Both. You know that I wasn't afraid of anything before, but now that I'm older, I'm more afraid." "Does Huamin blame you?" Wei Liao asked tentatively. Su Yu smiled bitterly. "If only you were willing to blame me. Don't you know her? She's always like that. She won't say anything, and she's always shouldering everything on her own. She doesn't blame me, but I can see that she's suffering. I hate myself. Why am I such a coward? I can't even take care of the kids. It's the first time Pudding and Little Bean stayed over at my house, and something like this happened. I really don't have the face to face them." In fact, Su Yu really wanted to see Little Bean and talk to her, but in his heart, he kept avoiding her because he was scared. It was as if too much guilt had captivated his heart, causing him to not dare to face it. He was afraid of losing them. He was afraid that the twins would not be so close to him in the future. He was afraid that Huamin would distance himself from him because of this. After all, he had too little, whether it was the twins or Huamin, he did not have a suitable identity. To put it nicely, your Uncle Su. To put it bluntly, you're nothing. Therefore, Suyu was under a lot of psychological pressure, causing him to feel extremely negative emotions. Lord Su, to be honest, you're not like yourself anymore. Wei Liao sighed as he held onto his wine glass. Actually, ever since I met Huamin 4 years ago, I've become less and less like myself. Wei Liao remained silent. Suyu was a person who placed too much importance on love. Therefore, he was willing to go through fire and water for Huamin. In the past 4 years, he had done so much for her. But in the end, he still stayed with her without any complaints or regrets. Even now, he was still protecting Hua Min's daughters. Not many men in the world could do this kind of love, right? But you're going to get married and have kids. If you insist on doing this, is it really okay? Wei Liao rarely tried to persuade Suyu to give up on Huamin. After all, he was not as straightforward and hot-tempered as Tang Chuan. Therefore, Wei Liao spoke very tactfully. He wanted Suyu to see the truth. The truth was, no matter what he did or how hard he tried, Huamin would never be with him. Chapter 2178. Before Suyu could answer, his phone rang. He picked up the phone. President Su, Miss Jian is awake. The staff at the hospital reported. Got it. I'll go over now. Then, Suyu put the empty glass on the table and got up to pick up his jacket. I'm going to the hospital. Jian Tong is awake. Wei Liao asked. Suyu nodded. What do you plan to do with her? Wei Liao was curious about Suyu's style of doing things this time. Same as before, Suyu said vaguely. Then, he turned around and left the Wei Corporation. The black Lamborghini was parked at the side door of Southside Recuperation Center. Suyu walked in quietly. Since Jian Tong was a public figure, her hospitalization after the car accident was kept a secret. Suyu blocked all news and didn't allow anyone to mention that it was Qin Chu who hit Jian Tong. Although Jian Tong's family was unhappy, they didn't dare to offend Suyu, so they kept their mouths shut. Inside the VIP ward of Southside Recuperation Center, when Jian Tong's agent saw Suyu, she immediately ran up to greet him. President Su, it's great that you're here. Tong is awake, but she's emotionally unstable. After she found out what happened to her face, she couldn't take it anymore. Please go and talk to her. Suyu's face was cold, and he didn't say anything. He walked past the agent and opened the door. Tong, calm down. President Su is here. You guys talk first. When Jian Tong's mother saw Suyu walk in, she thought that her savior had arrived. She knew that her daughter liked Suyu, so she thought that Suyu might listen to her. So, she turned around and left to give Suyu and Jian Tong some privacy. Jian Tong was screaming and crying a second ago, but when she saw Suyu, she immediately quieted down. President Su, Jian Tong opened her mouth, but didn't dare to continue, because she realized that the way Suyu looked at her was very terrifying, that kind of silent terror. I'm not surprised that you put an aphrodisiac in the soup. After all, female artists would do anything to get into your bed. But you watched Little Bean drink it with your own eyes. Are you trying to get yourself killed? Suyu's voice was cold, and there was no warmth in his gaze. President Su, I didn't do it on purpose. I don't know what came over me. Maybe I was possessed. You know that I don't like Huamin or the twins. They're always trying to frame me and say bad things about me so that I can't be alone with you. So you're willing to hurt a 3-year-old child? Suyu walked over and stared into Jian Tong's eyes. Her entire body was wrapped in gauze. Only her eyes and mouth were exposed. It was obvious that she was seriously injured. It was said that the glass shards pierced through her face, and it was a level 1 disfigurement. For a woman like Jian Tong who loved to look beautiful, it was a disaster. However, it wasn't over yet. President Su, I really like you too much. I'm not young anymore, and I want to be with you. When I saw that you like Huamin, I wanted to help you guys be together. But after Qin Chu came back, Huamin immediately dumped you and went back to Qin Chu. That woman is so despicable. How could she have your heart? I hate her so much that I lost my mind. I really didn't mean to frame Little Bean. It's just an aphrodisiac. It's not life-threatening, right? If your life was in danger, would you still have a chance to wake up? So you glared at her and asked coldly. President Su, I'm already in a terrible state. Please let me go. I really know that I was wrong. Plus, Chu hit me with his car and ruined my career. He also avenged his daughter. Please let me go. Tong was calm and sober at this moment because she knew that she was done for when she saw the look in Yu's eyes. Therefore, she didn't dare to throw a tantrum and could only beg for mercy. I won't let you go, but you have to do one thing and I'll let your family go. Yu looked at her mercilessly. What do you have to do? Tong was terrified. Chapter 2179. In fact, when Tong asked the question, she had a bad feeling about it. Therefore, when she asked the question, she felt a chill run down her spine. When Yu looked at her, there was no warmth in his eyes. Not only was it cold, but it was also filled with hatred. Kill yourself, and this will be over. Yu's voice was extremely cold. After hearing what he said, Tong's heart sank to the bottom. President Su, do you want me to die? Tong's voice was trembling, and she even sounded like she was about to cry. She never thought that Yu would say something like this. However, after being by Yu's side for so many years, she knew that he was a man of his word. He would never scare or threaten her. If he said it, then it must be true. That was why it was so scary. Do you think you don't deserve to die for what you did? Yu asked coldly. But, I said I'm sorry. I really didn't do it on purpose. It's useless for you to say sorry to me or Little Bean. I think it's better for you to say sorry to God. President Su, how can you do this to me? All these years, Tong, asked myself, how much have I done for Imperial Star? Tong had been in the limelight for the past few years. After Mo. Shui lost her power, she became Imperial Star's #1 star and had a high status in the entertainment industry. She had made a lot of money for Imperial Star. You need to know what's important first. Imperial Star created you first, and you made money for Imperial Star. You didn't make Imperial Star what it is. We don't lack female artists. Without you, there would be others who would be famous. However, you don't have Imperial Star, Yu, and Tong. Who do you think you are? When Yu was ruthless, he was very scary. Now, Tong was scared and regretful. She finally knew how to play the tender card with him. What the hell was she doing in the first place? President Su, you can't just kill me. You should give me a chance. I won't do it again. I really won't hurt the twins or Mian again. I won't do it again. I won't do it again. Tong finally realized that she was nothing in Yu's heart. If even a single hair on Mian's head was harmed, she would be sentenced to death. It wasn't an equal treaty to begin with. After realizing her identity and position, all Tong could do was to beg bitterly. All these years, I've been indulging you the most because I thought you knew your place. I didn't expect you to be so stupid. If it was any other mistake, I might have forgiven you. But you almost killed Little Bean, so you must die. So you said firmly. Then what if I don't? Are you going to kill me? Are you going to ask your subordinates to kill me? Yu cried. She became emotional. Ignoring the gauze on her face, she looked into Yu's eyes. No, I won't do anything because Chu won't let you go. Yu turned around and walked away. President Su, save me, Tong screamed unwillingly. It's too late, Yu said before walking out of the hospital. President Su, how's my daughter? Is she feeling better? Tong's mother walked up to Yu and asked. Yu didn't answer and walked past her. President Su, do you have any plans for Miss Jin? What's the company's decision? What about the endorsements and jobs? What about this year's TV series? Are you going to find someone new to replace her? Tong's agent hurriedly followed behind Yu, try to please him. Chapter 2180. We'll have results soon. Just you wait, Yu said as he walked out of the hospital. After Yu left, Tong went completely crazy. She pulled out the syringe and screamed in pain. She refused to cooperate with the doctors and bit everyone she saw. However, Yu never came to see her again. It had been a day since Little Bean's accident. Yu didn't sleep well at home or at the company. He was in a daze. Inside his office, it was almost time to get off work. Many friends called to ask Yu out for dinner, but he turned them all down. President Su, It's time to get off work. Madam just called you and asked you to come home for dinner. Okay, I got it. Suyu stood up. Just then his phone rang. It was a video call from Little Bean. Suyu was a little excited because it was Little Bean. This was the first time Little Bean video called Suyu since she was discharged from the hospital. Suyu immediately picked up. Little Bean. His voice was warm. Hello. Handsome Sue, what are you doing? Little Bean put the phone on the table and leaned against the wall. She stood in front of the phone and waved her chubby little hands. She was wearing an emerald green Cheongsam dress, and her hair was curled. She looked as cute as a little princess. I'm at the company. I just got off work. Do you have plans? Yeah, I'm going back to the old house for dinner. Oh, so you're going back to Lord Sue and Grandma Sue's place. How boring. It's so boring to eat with the old people. Why don't you come to my place? Little Bean invited him with a smile. Before Suyu could say anything, Pudding walked out from behind Little Bean. She was wearing the same outfit as Suyu. Handsome Sue, come here. I bet you drove less than 20 minutes. Your Lamborghini is so cool. Pudding interrupted. Sis, is this okay? I'm talking to Handsome Sue alone. Why are you doing this? Little Bean looked at Pudding unhappily. If I didn't help you, would Handsome Sue give you face? What a joke. Pudding said proudly. Why wouldn't you give me face? I'm a patient who just recovered from a serious illness. Handsome Sue, you'll come and see me, right? Little Bean pouted. Suyu's heart softened. That won't happen. Great. Can you please buy me a bowl of coconut milk sago when you pass by Lee's dessert shop on your way here? Little Bean continued to ask for more. All right. And butter pineapple buns. Little Bean added. All right. Suyu smiled. All right. I also want a black forest cake. Thanks. Anything else? Suyu continued to ask. That's it. It's just sauce. Is your mommy home? Suyu thought for a moment and asked nervously. To be honest, ever since the incident, Suyu felt embarrassed to face Hwamin. Yeah, Daddy's home too. They're busy cooking. Daddy and Mommy are cooking. Mommy even made your favorite boiled fish. Are you looking forward to it? Little Bean asked with a smile. As soon as she finished speaking, Hwamin walked over with a floral apron. He looked into the camera and smiled at Suyu. Come early, or there won't be anything to eat. Got it. I'll be there in a bit. Suyu couldn't refuse the family's sincere invitation. Plus, it was time for him to go see Little Bean. Whether Hwamin and Chin Chu blamed him or not, he had to give them an explanation. After all, this incident happened at his house because of him. Plus, Suyu planned to talk to Chin Chu alone about how to deal with Jiantong. This was a serious issue because it involved a life. After work, Suyu called home to explain. Then, he drove his black Lamborghini to South Hill Manor. Pudding guessed right. Suyu drove over in 20 minutes. As soon as he walked in, the twins jumped on him. Wow, handsome Sue, we missed you so much. Little Bean began to hug his leg coquettishly, as usual. Pudding carefully took over the desserts. Sure enough, he bought a lot of desserts. Suyu picked up Little Bean, who had just recovered from a serious illness. Just as he was about to say something, he saw Chin Chu, who was wearing a black casual shirt, walking over. Chapter 2181. Suyu felt a little awkward. He felt guilty towards Hwamin, but towards Chin Chu, he felt even more complicated. That day, Chin Chu punched Suyu in the hospital. Although no one mentioned it after that, the already unnatural relationship between the two became even more complicated. Suyu thought that Chin Chu would still be cold and not say anything, or even be unfriendly. However, to his surprise, Chin Chu nodded at Suyu, showing basic respect. Seeing this, Suyu immediately nodded back. It was a unique way for two men to greet each other. Handsome Sue, what took you so long to come see me? You're so heartless. Little Bean, who was in Suyu's arms, purposely reached out her hand to pinch Suyu's face. I wanted to see you for a long time, but I was afraid that your mommy would kick me out. Suyu joked. No, she won't. My mommy isn't that kind of person. Little Bean immediately defended her mommy. Just then, Hwamin walked out of the kitchen. He was wearing a little apron and looked very cute. What kind of person is your mommy? Hwamin asked with a smile. Mommy, handsome Sue is here. Little Bean was very proud, showing off in Suyu's arms. You're just in time. Go wash your hands. Dinner will be ready in 5 minutes. Huamin urged Suyu with a smile. The family didn't blame Suyu for what happened to Little Bean, nor did Suyu feel estranged. The twins were still very warm towards Suyu, as were Huamin and Qin. Perhaps because they wanted to invite Suyu over for dinner, Jixin took his mother to their old neighbor's house in the ghetto. Only Qin, Huamin, and the kids were at home. The housekeeper and maid left the big dining room. Looking at the sumptuous Chinese food on the table, Suyu was a bit surprised. Did you make all of this yourself? I made 6, and Mr. Qin made 4. Huamin was a bit proud. Qin knows how to cook Chinese food, so you didn't expect this. I'll learn it later. It should be okay. Qin answered calmly. Handsome Su, you'll know once you try it. Hurry and eat. Little Bean and Pudding sat on Suyu's side. Little Bean was very happy to see Suyu, and she kept putting food on his plate from the beginning. Suyu didn't treat her as an outsider and started eating in silence. At the dinner table, everyone chatted. When they were almost done, Huamin looked at Pudding. Pudding, take your sister upstairs to change. We have something to talk to your Uncle Su about. Okay, Mommy. Pudding was also very obedient. She listened to her mother and took her sister upstairs. Before they went upstairs, Little Bean looked back and reminded Huamin, Mommy, you and Daddy can't bully Handsome Su, or I'll get mad. Don't worry, we wouldn't dare to bully him. Miss Little Bean, you're overthinking it. Huamin couldn't help but laugh. After the twins went upstairs, only Qin, Huamin, and Suyu were left at the table. To be honest, this situation was a bit strange. Suyu, the reason we invited you to dinner today is actually the food is not the main reason. The main reason we wanted to talk to you. Huamin spoke very slowly. It seemed like she had a lot on her mind. I know, you want to talk about Little Bean. I'm mentally prepared, Suyu said. Huamin nodded. She turned her head and looked at Qin. Honey, you go first. Chapter 2182. Qin put down her chopsticks and glanced at Suyu. I was a little impulsive when I heard about Little Bean's accident. I'm sorry. Don't say that. It's my fault. I didn't take good care of her. Even if you punch me a few more times, I won't fight back, Suyu said sincerely. We didn't expect Little Bean's accident to happen, and neither did you. We didn't know that they would run into Jiantong on their way there, and we didn't know that Jiantong would try to drug you, but Little Bean ended up taking the drug. None of these things were supposed to happen, so we can't blame you for it. The only culprit is Jiantong, so we don't want you to feel guilty all the time. After all, Little Bean is fine now, and everything is in the past. Plus, we won't change our opinion of you because of this. We all know how you've treated me and Little Bean over the years, and we won't erase everything that you've done for us because of a small mistake. So you don't feel pressured and don't be unhappy. Huamin was indeed a logical woman. Every word she said resonated with Suyu's heart. Before he came here, Suyu was worried that Huamin would tactfully tell him not to be so close to the twins in the future. But now, it seemed that he didn't need to worry at all. Huamin was just a smart woman. She guessed Suyu's thoughts and uneasiness, so her words warmed Suyu's heart. After Huamin finished speaking, Qin nodded and concluded, Yes, everything is in the past. Nothing will change. It's still the same as before. Suyu knew that everything that Qin said was the same as before. It was nothing more than his relationship with Qin and Huamian's family. Suyu's relationship with the twins was even closer than family. Suyu was touched by Qin and Huamian's words. So much so that the corners of his eyes were a little moist. He had a lot of things to say in his heart, but in the end he only said 4 words. Long live understanding. Yes, they understood each other. He could understand Qin and Huamian's panic and worry as parents when they saw their children in trouble. Qin and Huamian could understand why Suyu didn't know how to deal with this sudden situation and how he had unintentionally indulged Jiantong. After the problem appeared, everyone was anxious to discuss who should be held responsible. But how could he remedy this situation, minimizing the negative consequences of the matter? Now that Little Bean had recovered and everything was over, there was only one problem left. How should he deal with Jiantong? In the hospital, Su Yu and Jiantong had already made their stand clear, but Qin Chu and Huo Mian still didn't know about it. What do you think about Jiantong? Huo Min asked. Su Yu thought for a moment and replied, I've seen her and told her to end her own life, and this matter will be over. Her family won't be involved. In her own life? You want her to? Huo Min thought that Su Yu would at most blacklist Jiantong and force her to leave the entertainment industry. Then, he would order her to leave this place and never come back or exile her abroad. However, he didn't expect that Su Yu would want Jiantong to die. The consequences were quite serious. If you do something wrong, you should take responsibility. You can't run away from it just because you didn't do it on purpose. I've always treated them like my own children. How can I let it go when my own children were framed and almost died? If I let things go like this, then Su Yu, wouldn't be Su Yu. My life is worse than a woman's. After Su Yu said this, Qin Chu and Huo Min looked at each other in tacit understanding. Chapter 2183. The truth was, Huo Min didn't think about how to deal with Jiantong because she knew Mr. Qin knew what to do. At this moment, Qin Chu slowly said, I could have killed her, but since I spared her life, I'll let her live. Death is actually very easy. It'll happen in an instant. However, living is the pain. That woman is now heavily injured and unrecognizable. It won't be easy for her to live. I don't think we should let her die. Let her live. She can use the rest of her life to atone for her sins. Everyone's logical thinking was different. Su Yu felt that she deserved to die because she did something wrong. Mr. Qin hated her even more. If he wanted revenge, he would torture her first. No matter how he looked at it, he was right. Anyway, I'll leave Jiantong to you. Do whatever you want with her. I won't care if she lives or dies. I'll even block all information about her. You can do whatever you want, but don't let her go easily. After all, a vicious woman like her will only bring more trouble if she lives, Su Yu added. Huo Min nodded. I'll listen to Mr. Qin no matter what he does. Huo Min felt that she was too soft-hearted. No matter how smart she was still a woman. Women all had a kind side and weren't decisive enough. Therefore, at times like this, she needed a strong man to solve the problem. Anyway, as long as she didn't have the heart of a saint, it shouldn't be a problem. After they finished talking about this topic, the twins came downstairs. They had changed into light pink pajamas. They were still wearing small dresses and looked cute. Little Bean was eating dessert, while Pudding was video chatting with someone on her cell phone. Mommy, is that my auntie? Pudding pointed at the cell phone. Huo Min smiled. We're not curious about how your auntie is doing. We want to know how young Master Tang is doing. Pudding immediately turned the cell phone around to face everyone. On the other end of the video, Qi Ning was wearing jeans and a loose white t-shirt. She was always dressed in the simplest and most sunny outfit, but it made people feel comfortable. Sis-in-law, I've been so busy lately. My dad is really cruel. Let me tell you, he took my uncle and Annie to Switzerland for a vacation. I'm the only one working at the company right now. I'm crazy busy. Qi Ning began to complain when she saw Huo Min. At this time, Mr. Qin faintly interrupted, You're not alone. Don't you have a guest from afar? Brother, is it really okay for you to do this to me? Qi Ning was embarrassed. Auntie, don't be shy. Quick, show us Uncle Tang. Pudding gossiped. Don't tell me you're keeping a mistress in your house. Little Bean added. Qi Ning, your family sure loves to gossip. I'm going to ignore you guys. Qi Ning was furious. Without any explanation, he hung up. Auntie, are you shy? Little Bean asked cutely. Do you even need to ask? Of course she is, but Uncle Tang is really persistent. He followed Annie all the way to the States and followed her around like a shadow. Sometimes, it's a good idea to pester her, Pudding calmly analyzed. Handsome Sue, do you like Uncle Tang and my Annie? Little Bean turned her head and looked at Su Yu. Not bad. At least I think they'll be interesting together. Su Yu smiled. But my auntie used to be a couple with you. Don't you regret it? Little Bean continued to gossip. This question is even more boring now. But, Miss Little Bean, let's talk about a very serious question, okay? Suyu asked as he hugged Little Bean lovingly. Okay, go ahead. I'm listening. Little Bean nodded obediently. Chapter 2184. Can you not be so greedy in the future? Suyu said in a serious tone. Little Bean immediately felt guilty. See, even handsome Sue said something like that. Don't be so greedy in the future and almost lose your life. Okay? Hearing Sue use words, Pudding chimed in. I know. This time, I really realized how serious the problem is. I'll change, Little Bean said perfunctorily. But you didn't. You made me buy so many desserts today. Suyu immediately exposed Little Bean's lie. Little Bean immediately covered her face with her hands. See? You're too embarrassed to face anyone. Pudding accused. I need time to change, okay? Give me time to adapt. Finally, Suyu gave Little Bean a stern warning. When it was about time, he got up and said goodbye. Are you full? Huamin was worried that Suyu felt uncomfortable and didn't have enough to eat. So he asked, I'm full. You're really good at cooking. Suyu didn't expect Huamin to be so good at cooking. He really ate a lot. I just found recipes online and copied them. I'm not good at cooking. Compared to Annie Sue, I'm not even close. If it weren't for Little Bean, I would have taken them back to the old manor a long time ago. Grandpa is back and wants to see them. Okay, I'll take them over one of these days. I miss Lord Sue too. Huamin and Suyu exchanged pleasantries. The twins were reluctant to part with Suyu. Then, Suyu left South Hill Manor. Jixin came back with his mother at the same time. Mother took the kids upstairs to get changed and take a shower. Jixin was busy texting Bella on WeChat. Huamin leaned against Qin Shu's shoulder and warmed himself in front of the fireplace on the first floor. Eating fruits, it seemed that she hadn't been this relaxed and carefree for a few days. This matter is finally over. I hope that Suyu can let go of the pressure in his heart and not think too much about it, Huamin said softly. That won't happen. He's a smart person. He should know why we're treating him to a meal. We're trying our best to maintain this relationship, to eliminate his grudge. Qin Shu comforted. What about Jiantong? After she is discharged from the hospital, she will be banned by Imperial Star. She will probably go abroad. Huamin thought that the woman was actually quite pitiful. He didn't expect her to be so smart, but when she wanted to court death, he couldn't stop her. Go abroad? Where should he go? Do you think I'll let her go? Mr. Qin's eyes flashed coldly when he thought of that evil woman. Didn't you say to let her live in pain? Huamin was a little doubtful. He tilted his head and looked at Qin Shu. I said I'll let her live in pain, but I didn't say I'll let her go. Qin Shu seemed to have other plans in mind. Huamin was smart enough not to notice. Seeing that Huamin was silent, Qin Shu reached out his hand and lifted her chin. Mian, not everyone in this world is worthy of forgiveness, I know. Huamin nodded slightly. I know that you have a kind side to you. We're not evil people. If people don't mess with us, we won't mess with them. That's the basic principle. But if people bully us, we can't just sit back and do nothing. Pudding and Little Bean are our babies. They're the fruits of our love, the most precious gift of our lives. That woman almost killed Little Bean. If we continue to be merciful, who knows what kind of disaster we'll bring to ourselves in the future. Qin Shu held Huamin's shoulders tightly and analyzed the pros and cons of their actions. Chapter 2185. Honey, you're right. I'm too soft-hearted and not decisive enough. Jiantong deserves to die. If Little Bean died, even if I killed her 100 times, I wouldn't be able to get rid of the hatred in my heart. I know that, so I won't ask you to let her go. Since Suyu agrees, then I'll leave it to you. I'll support you no matter what you do. For the first time in his life, Huamin hardened his heart and showed no mercy to a woman. Because she was a mother who loved her daughter dearly, Little Bean's incident finally came to an end, and Huamin and Qin Shu returned to their busy work. It was almost the end of the year, and everyone was very busy. Qin Shu had endless meetings at GK, and Huamin had endless surgeries and patients at Southside. The couple returned to their normal lives, and Jiantong was hospitalized at Southside for almost half a month. Not only did her condition not improve, but it also got worse. This was because Huamin often heard the nurses talk about it. They said that the woman in the VIP room who was in a car accident was mentally unstable and needed sedatives to fall asleep at night. Suyu never came to Southside again, and he didn't ask about Jiantong at all. Huamin was in the same hospital as her, but they never saw each other. Maybe Huamin did it on purpose, so he never went to the VIP room, whether it was work or work. Therefore, the chances of seeing Jiantong were very low. There were so many patients at the end of the year that Huamin had 3 times more patients than usual. Sometimes he was so busy that he didn't even have lunch. Today was the same. When Huamin finished seeing the last patient in the morning, it was already 12:40 p.m. It was almost 1 p.m., and he was indeed hungry. After Chun Jie and Ni Yang finished their trip to Bali, they went straight to Tahiti. As the vice director, Huamin gave Chun Jie a long vacation. Therefore, her temporary assistant position was filled by a new nurse from the hospital. "Chief, it's time for you to eat." The nurse knocked on the door to remind him. "How many people are there in the afternoon?" Huamin took off his spectacles, put away his pen, and hung it in the pocket of his lab coat. "There are 7 more patients in the afternoon. I don't know if we can finish them in time." The nurse was a little worried. "It should be about the same. If I can't finish it, I'll work overtime. That's not a big deal." "Chief, you're working too hard. It's the end of the year. You have to take care of your health." Huamin was a well-known workaholic in Southside. As long as he was busy, he didn't care about anything else. He often came early and left late, and President Wu had praised him more than once in a meeting. Now, his position as the vice president was even more convincing. "I'm fine, I'm healthy. My body is great, I eat delicious food, and it's not hard for me to go up to the 5th floor in one breath," Huamin said as he talked about the advertisement on the internet, making the assistant nurse laugh. At this time, the office door was pushed open and a tall and handsome man walked in. She was wearing an exaggerated orange woolen coat, but she looked so natural. "Little Sister Mian, I haven't seen you smile like this in a long time. Did something good happen today?" After Hua Xiqian walked in, he sat across from Huamin in the patient's seat, very close to Huamin. "What are you doing here?" Huamin saw Hua Xiqian walk in and immediately stopped smiling. Her expression also became nervous. To her, this was an uninvited guest. "Chief, you have a guest, so I won't disturb you. I'll leave first. Don't forget to eat," the nurse reminded. Huamin nodded, and the nurse closed the door and left. Suddenly, only Hua Xiqian and Huamin were left in the brightly lit consultation room. Huamin was still wearing a white coat, and her long hair was past her shoulders, falling naturally. Compared to 4 years ago, there was an additional air of maturity between her eyebrows. After all, she was already a wife and a mother. In terms of style, Huamin was more mature and rarely wore Disney clothing with cartoon patterns. Hua Xiqian, on the other hand, had never changed. He liked to dress in a flashy style and liked to dress in bright colors. The two of them, one white, one orange. It was a pretty good combination. Chapter 2186. I haven't seen you in a long time. I missed you, so I came to see you. Hua Xiqian was as straightforward as ever. He didn't beat around the bush. However, Huamin didn't feel awkward or embarrassed when he heard Hua Xiqian's words. Instead, he felt his heart grow heavier. "We're not siblings, and we're definitely not friends. You don't have to come to see me, because I don't really welcome you." Huamin didn't hold back at all. "You don't really welcome me, but you do welcome me a little bit." Hua Xiqian seized on Huamin's tone and tried to find fault with it. Huamin didn't want to argue with Hua Xiqian. Instead, he changed the topic and asked, "You've been very low-key lately. I don't think you've done anything to Mo Shui. Why? What do you want me to do?" Hua Xiqian smiled faintly. "No, I'm not interested in your business at all," Huamin immediately denied. "But I've always been interested in your business. I heard about what happened to Jiantong. How's Little Bean?" Hua Xiqian was surprisingly concerned about Little Bean. "How did you know?" Huamin looked at Huasiqian cautiously and stared into his eyes. Nothing can hide from me here, unless I don't want to know. There's nothing I don't know. Huasiqian's lips twitched. Huh. Do you also think that I'm a failure as a person? Huamin suddenly changed the topic. Why would I? Huasiqian looked at Huamin's face seriously. It seemed that whenever he saw Huamin, his chaotic heart would calm down. This was one of the reasons why he liked to be alone with Huamin. I've always thought of myself as someone who doesn't want to compete with others. I don't want to be in the limelight. I don't want to fight for anything. But even so, Jintong hates me, Imo Shui, hates me, Song Yishur hates me. They all hate me. The sad thing is that I don't even know why they hate me so much. Huamin bitterly smiled. That's because they're jealous of everything you have. Everything you have, they might never be able to have in their lifetime. Huasiqian replied, but I don't think I have a lot. People only see the happiness I have now, but they don't know how much I've suffered. After all these years, I feel like I've been through the life of a normal person. Maybe other people's lives don't have as many ups and downs as mine. I can still face everything with a calm heart. I really think I've had enough. I also thought that our family would live a happy life. Who knew those people with ulterior motives would extend their claws to my child? Huasiqian, you too, right? When I was pregnant, you actually wanted me to have an abortion many times, didn't you? After Huamin finished speaking, she looked up at Huasiqian with a heavy heart. Maybe it was because of the bomb incident last time and seeing through life and death. Huamin actually felt that there were some things that she could tell Huasiqian openly. There was no need to beat around the bush. Yes, at that time, I just didn't want you to give birth to another man's child. I always wanted you to belong to me completely. It's that simple, Huasiqian happily admitted. What about now? Will you still hurt my daughters? Do you still want to take them away from me? Huamin asked in all seriousness. She tried to get the answer she wanted from his face. If I told you the answer, would you believe me? Huasiqian asked back. Chapter 2187. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Huamin gave an answer that wasn't really an answer. She didn't know if she would believe Huasiqian's words. After all, their current situation was worrying. Huh? Huasiqian looked at Huamin and chuckled. Then he slowly said, I won't. When you were pregnant, I thought it was too sudden and couldn't accept that it was someone else's child. But now, I know that they are your life. If anything happens to them, you might not be able to live. So, I won't do anything to hurt them. You don't have to be on guard against me, especially little Bean. She's really cute. Although she's a little dumb, she's a lot like you when you were young. She's smart and a little stubborn. I really like your child. But, even so, you won't like me, right? Huasiqian changed the topic from the children to the two of them, making things awkward. Huamin didn't answer because she knew that Huasiqian already knew the answer. Mian, I've been thinking about something lately. If you weren't Huamin and I weren't Huasiqian, if we were just a couple of ordinary people, if I didn't have money, a good job, or an identity, if I only had a heart that loved you, would you still give me a chance? Huasiqian looked at Huamin with a warm smile on his face. There are no ifs in life. Maybe it was because he was getting older, but Huamin didn't like hypothetical questions anymore. She felt that there was no point in asking this question because no matter what she thought, it wouldn't happen. Okay, you're such a heartless girl. You won't even let me think about it. Mr. Hua, I haven't eaten yet. If there's nothing else, Huamin wanted to ask him to leave. However, before he could finish, he saw Huasiqian pick up a brocade box from the floor and put it on Huamin's desk. It's your favorite soup dumplings and hot and sour noodles from the old street in the west side of the city. They still taste so authentic. Do you still like them? Huasiqian carried the brocade box, which was still steaming hot. It seemed like he bought it before he came to the hospital. Huamin often went to the old street in the west side of the city when he was young. Because the things that were cheap, the prices of many street stalls could be lowered, and there were also many delicious foods. Back then, she had to take the bus twice, the bus ride from where she lived to the old street. Ens T, TS to S, it means to S, mean tiju lingling like mutton steamed buns and chuanbe cold jelly. while Huamin liked soup dumplings and hot and sour noodles. Hua Xiqian already had some status in the Hua family at the time, so he often drove around the city in a luxury car. He accidentally found out that Huamin liked to go there, so he followed him a few times and even tried Huamin's favorite snacks. Hua Xiqian didn't know if it was because he loved Huamin, but he also liked the snacks. After so many years, it was rare that he still remembered Huamin's favorite snacks. Huamin looked at the snacks with a complicated expression and didn't say anything. "What's wrong? Are you afraid I'll poison it?" "Ha! Don't worry, I'm not as stupid as Jian Tong. I won't do something so stupid." Hua Xiqian laughed heartily. Huamin looked at the hot and sour noodles and soup dumplings with mixed emotions. He didn't know what to feel. Perhaps it was because of the memories of his youth. At the time, Hua Xiqian hadn't been so evil. Occasionally, when they met, they would mock and tease each other. It became a joy in his youth. Chapter 2188. It's okay. If you can't swallow it because I bought it, you could just throw it in the trash can, Hua Xiqian said sadly. She realized that Huamin had no intention of accepting any of the things he gave her, whether it was facial masks or food. Seeing that Huamin still didn't say anything, Hua Xiqian stood up and put on his deerskin gloves. "Okay, I won't disturb you anymore. Oh, wait, I'm the vice director now. I know you're busy, so I won't disturb you. But you have to take care of your body. Otherwise, when you die of exhaustion, Qin Chu will marry a mistress. Then, she'll spend your money, live in your house, sleep with your husband, and beat your baby." Hua Xiqian teased on purpose. A smile finally appeared on Huamin's serious face. "That won't happen, my baby. I don't even know what to do," she replied. "I'm glad you're smiling. Good girl. Next time you see me, don't look like you're going to the grave." "Haha, I thought I was going to die soon. I'll leave the food here. Eat it if you want." "I'm leaving." Hua Xiqian turned around to leave. Suddenly, he thought of something and turned around. "Mian, what do you plan to do with Jian Tong?" "My husband will take care of it." Huamin didn't understand why Hua Xiqian would suddenly ask her this. She thought it was strange. "Okay, no matter who takes care of it, I suggest you get rid of the source of the problem. Jian Tong isn't a woman who'll change her ways easily. Now that she's injured like this, even if she survives, she'll carry a grudge with her. For you guys, she's a hidden danger. It's better to get rid of her as soon as possible. You have to be careful. The same goes for Mo Shui. Don't ever see her alone again," Hua Xiqian said before opening the door and leaving. Huamin sat there in a daze for a few more minutes. Then, she slowly opened the snacks that Hua Xiqian brought her. She picked up a Xilong Bayo and took a few bites. Suddenly, she realized that she didn't like it as much as she used to. It wasn't that the taste had changed. It was just that things had changed. She was no longer the Huamin she used to be. Huamin, who was originally hungry, lost her appetite because of Hua Xiqian's arrival. She ate a few bites, cleaned up the food, and then went back to work. That was when Nai Yang's call came. It was a video call. "Hi, sis. How are you?" Nai Yang smiled brightly. "Sure, is Tahiti beautiful?" Huamian perked up. "Oh, this is knees. S's takes this. SSS. SSS. Yours is T-test. Retest re. Is YS's? Schwetes? She's swimming over there." And Yang pointed at the beach. "MHM, as long as you guys are having fun. When are you coming back?" "In a week. It's almost Chinese New Year, so we're planning to go back early." "Sis, there's actually something I want you to do." "What is it?" "When I get back, I want to hold a wedding. I won't be able to do it before Chinese New Year." I looked at the calendar, and the 8th of the first lunar month is a good day. I want to hold it at one of GK's hotels. Then, I'll leave this to you, okay? You little brat, you're finally holding a wedding. Huamin smiled sweetly. He was truly happy for Nai Yang. "MHM, I'm not young anymore. I don't want to drag it out anymore. I'll get married when I meet the right person. Okay, I support you. If you need me to do anything, just say the word, and I'll make sure it's grand. Sis, I want to go to the Mian Hotel on Yending Mountain. It's quiet and has a great environment. Most importantly, It's named after you. I think Jia, and I will never forget it. Okay, I'll pay for everything, as long as you guys are happy. Also, I have a plan to tell you. And Aiyong lowered his voice on purpose and whispered something to Huamin. Upon hearing this, Huamian asked in surprise, This will work? Are you sure Jia won't beat you to death? Chapter 2189. It's okay. I've already made up my mind whether you beat me to death or not. You have to cooperate with me, sis. And Aiyong said coquettishly. After struggling for a while, Huamin was finally convinced by his younger brother. Then, okay, I'll try my best. But I might not be able to perform well. It's okay. I believe in your acting skills and abilities, sis. After a pleasant conversation with Aiyong, she threw herself back in her busy work. Imperial Star Headquarters. After having dinner at South Hill Manor, Su Yu felt relieved. Or rather, knowing that Huamin, Qin Chu, and the twins didn't blame him, Su Yu was relieved. President Su, Mrs. Tang is here. She wants to see you, and knocked on the door and came in to report. Mrs. Tang? Su Yu had an ominous feeling. Let her in. Tang Chuan's mother was a classic rich lady. She was over 50 years old and spent all her time drinking tea, beauty treatments, and playing cards. Because she came from a prestigious family, she had always had a high status in the Tang family. Tang Chuan's father also had some affairs when he was young, but later on, those women became passers-by. Mrs. Tang was firmly in the position of Mrs. Tang, so she had a sense of superiority in her bones. She had all the bad habits of a rich lady. She was unruly, arrogant, serious, old-fashioned, and picky. This was very similar to Qin Chu's mother. Among all the rich ladies, only Su Yu's mother was extremely gentle. When Huamin first met Mrs. Su, he liked her very much, so they got along better and better. Auntie, why are you here? And brought Tang Chuan's mother in. Su Yu immediately stood up and walked over to greet her. I'm here for something. I won't disturb your work, right? I won't delay you. Please go ahead, Auntie. Su Yu knew that Tang Chuan's mother was also a person who wouldn't visit him without a reason. The secretary brewed 2 cups of high-quality pu'er tea, but Mrs. Tang Chuan didn't seem to be in the mood to drink it. You and Chuan are childhood friends, and I watched you and the second son of the Wei family grow up. I know you guys are very close and are always together, so if there's anything you have to tell me, Auntie, just say it. You're beating around the bush. I'm also nervous. Su Yu was actually quite afraid of Tang Chuan's mother because she had a weird temper and was very explosive. A while ago, Tang Chuan had a falling out with his family because he was unwilling to get married. Tang Chuan's mother had personally cut off his end credit cards. Unfortunately, this man knew that they might use this trick. A long time ago, he had shares in Su Yu and Wei Liao's companies and had been receiving dividends. Even without the Tang family's money, he didn't have to worry about food and clothing. Most importantly, he also had a private account in a Swiss bank under an English name. It was all the money he had earned by investing on a whim over the years. That amount was also an astronomical figure, so people who didn't know the truth thought that Tang Chuan was relying on his family for food and drink. In fact, he just didn't want to talk about it, because it was meaningless. It was true that his family was rich, and it was also true that he could make money. In the end, Tang Chuan won that competition. Mrs. Tang was so angry that she fell seriously ill and took a lot of Chinese medicine. Has Chuan contacted you recently? Su Yu wasn't sure how much Tang Chuan's mother knew. He was afraid that she was here to get information out of him, so he didn't dare to say too much. Chapter 2190. Don't hide it from me. He's almost 30 years old, and he's still acting on a whim. That's ridiculous. It was his birthday a while ago, and he's already gone missing. He didn't even tell us, didn't pick up our calls, and didn't reply to our WeChat messages. He hasn't even updated his WeChat moments recently. I even think that he's lost and kidnapped. His dad and I have been worried about him for the past few days. My heart isn't good to begin with, and the more I think about it, the more scared I get. Last night, I even took some quick-acting cardiorespiratory pills. Tell me, this kid really makes us worry. Mrs. Tang's face was full of worry. It seemed that she was indeed here because of Tang Chuan. Suyu hurriedly explained, Auntie, don't worry. He's definitely not lost. Tang Chuan has been very smart since he was young. Even if everyone in the world got lost, he would still be able to return to Earth safely. Then why didn't he contact us? His dad asked someone to investigate and said that he went to Los Angeles. After that, there's no news. Our family doesn't have much influence in the United States, so it's not easy to investigate. So I might as well ask you. Forget it, you don't hide it from me. Tell me the truth today, okay? Okay. Annie, don't be so agitated. Listen to me. Tang Chuan is definitely fine. He's very safe. He's really in Los Angeles. The reason he didn't update his WeChat moments is probably because he's been too busy recently. Too busy? What else could he be busy with? Sleeping until the sun shines on his, but every day? Mrs. Tang knew her son too well. Actually, you'll be surprised if I tell you. Tang Chuan, he's working in the United States. What? He's working? Mrs. Tang's face was full of surprise. Yeah, he's working. I send him WeChat messages every day, so I know his status. Working? What work? Is he crazy? Our family is so busy that we're going crazy. Instead of coming back to help, he's going to work in the United States? Mrs. Tang was very angry after hearing this. She felt that her son was being ridiculous and immature. Auntie, he's working for Qin Ning. Qin Ning? The girl at Chuan's birthday party? Mrs. Tang froze. Suyu nodded slightly. I heard that the girl is the cousin of GK's president, Mr. Qin? Mrs. Tang asked Suyu tentatively. Yes, her family background is not bad. I didn't take a good look at her face that day. The lights were too bright. Xiao Chuan is really interested in her? Yes. So you're trying to woo a girl? Not only did you chase her all the way to America, you're even working in their company? That's about it. All right, I really have to hand it to my son. Mrs. Tang finally sighed. Annie, it's actually quite good that Chuan is a girl he likes. At least he can forget about the past, and he won't continue to be so ridiculous. You know that he's almost 30 years old. It's not a long-term plan for him to spend all day leisurely and indulge in debauchery. Sooner or later, he'll take over the family. Sooner or later, he'll have to marry and have children. So, isn't it just right that he has a girl he likes now? Plus, the girl's family background is extraordinary. Whether it's her looks, education, or family background, they're all top-notch. Not many people in Sea City can compare to her. Suyu chose words that Mrs. Tang liked to hear. Sure enough, after hearing what Suyu said, Mrs. Tang's expression improved a lot. I'm just worried that the girl won't like him since he likes to play around. If that happens, not only will he waste his time, but he'll also end up like he did with Jining. What are we going to do? How can we still be his parents? Mrs. Tang even wiped her tears when she spoke about her feelings. Even Suyu's heart ached when he saw this. Chapter 2191. He won't, Annie. He's not a kid anymore. He won't be so reckless. Did he say when he'll be back? He said he'll be back for the spring festival. It said that Qin Ning and her father will come back to reunite with Qin Shu and the others. That's great. The spring festival is less than half a month away. Mrs. Tang's eyes lit up. Yeah, so don't worry, Annie. When you contact him again, ask him to call home first. I don't care about him. Call his father first. His father is old now, and he misses him a lot. Although he doesn't say it out loud, he still has his son in his heart. Okay, don't worry. I'll tell him. Okay, go to your work. Sometimes I'll go to your house and have tea with your mother. Okay, you're welcome. After some pleasantries, Suyu saw Mrs. Tang off. Finally relieved, he took out his cell phone and sent a WeChat message. Suyu, Mr. Tang, come out. Tang Chuan, speak. Suyu, you're acting cool with me, aren't you? You even replied with one word. Tang Chuan, haha. I'm cooking. Suyu, cooking? You? Tang Chuan, what? You don't believe me? Suyu, so is your cooking edible? Tang Chuan, damn. What are you talking about? I'm a good cook. Although I haven't cooked for many years, I still have some skills. You and Wei Liao once ate my egg fried rice. Have you forgotten? Suyu, I don't dare to forget. That was the worst egg fried rice I've ever eaten in my life. It tasted like smoke and was as disgusting as it could get. Tang Chuan, can't we have a nice chat? Suyu, okay, let's stop joking. Your mother just came to my company. Tang Chuan, what's she doing there? Suyu, of course she's looking for you. She said you're missing and suspects you've been kidnapped. Tang Chuan humph. She doesn't trust her son that much. This old lady's IQ has obviously deteriorated. Suyu, but seriously, if you want to go to the U.S., why didn't you contact your family? Tang Chuan. Before we went to America, we already had a fight. That's why I didn't want to call. Suyu, why? Tang Chuan. I don't know where my dad got a distant cousin from, but she brought a sweet and naive daughter with her. She said she was a teacher at some famous school and came from a scholarly family. She wanted to be my wife. Actually, that girl was also at the birthday party that day. She was with her mother, but they didn't have a chance to show off. But when she saw me kiss Qin Ning, she cried and threw a tantrum. My dad felt embarrassed. My mom was fine and didn't say anything. You know how she is. After hearing about Ning's family background, she thought it would be good for our family. But my dad wholeheartedly thought that female teacher was more suitable for me and didn't want me to go to the States. I don't think she's suitable for you. I really can't control you. Tang Chuan, that's what I said too. But my parents love her so much. They said she's innocent and has no history of relationships. They said she's a virgin and she's so old-fashioned. Damn, I'm so annoyed. What's even more ridiculous is that the mother and daughter actually stayed here. They said the woman took a leave of absence and would stay here for 2 months to get to know me better. Damn. Suyu. So, Tang Chuan. So from that day on, I stopped answering their calls. They're a waste of my time. Suyu, I don't think that's the main point. The main point is that your heart is on Qin Ning, right? Tang Chuan, huh? You know me best. Suyu, then you'll be back in a few days? Before Suyu could finish, Tang Chuan interrupted him. Let's not talk about it anymore. Lord Su, I've already finished my soup. After Tang Chuan said this, he put his phone aside. He lifted the lid of the pot and checked the heat. Little Chuan, when can we eat? I'm starving. Qin Ning walked into the kitchen with a can of Coke in her hand. She looked like a big sister. Chapter 2192. Right away. Give me 3 more minutes. Tang Chuan immediately replied with a smile. Qin Ning curiously craned her neck and looked into the pot. Then, she was quite doubtful. Is it okay? Can the food you cook be eaten? Of course it's okay, trust me. But the kitchen smells so bad. You should go out and wait. Huh, it'll be ready soon. Okay, hurry up. Qin Ning picked up the leftover tomatoes on the kitchen chopping board and ate them as she walked. In the blink of an eye, it had been more than 20 days since Tang Chuan arrived in Los Angeles. At first, she was extremely uncomfortable and chased him away every day. Now, she was used to his presence. At home, he made breakfast for Qin Ning every morning. Although it was just simple milk and toast, Qin Ning was satisfied. However, Qin Ning was satisfied. The United States was different from China. Most Americans were independent. They rarely hired nannies. Qin Ning's father flew all over the world. Most of the mansions at home were taken care of by her alone. There were also many bodyguards, so Qin Ning made her own food most of the time. If she woke up late in the morning, she would skip breakfast and go to the company for a simple lunch. However, after Tang Chuan came, her 3 meals became regular. If there was a day when she skipped breakfast, she would feel hungry. It seemed that habit was really a scary thing. Qin Ning sat in the spacious dining room, playing with her phone, communicating with the company's employees, and sending voice commands. Tang Chuan carefully brought out a pot of soup. Then, he brought out the scallion pancakes that he had made earlier. He didn't want to make something as difficult as scallion pancakes. However, Qin Ning loved to eat noodles, whether it was steamed buns, dumplings, or noodles. She liked all kinds of things, but Qin Ning grew up in the United States and ate more hamburgers, steak, and spaghetti. Therefore, in order to show his warm side, Tang Chuan downloaded the recipe online and went to the Chinese supermarket in Chinatown to buy ingredients. He made scallion pancakes and cucumber, tomato, and egg soup for Qi Ning. Although it wasn't very difficult for a young master like Tang Chuan, it was the limit. Ning Ning, it's time to eat. This biscuit, why does it look so mushy? It's turning black. Qi Ning pouted. Let me eat this black one. You eat the bottom one. Tang Chuan immediately picked up the slightly burnt one and put it in his bowl. Seeing him do this, Qi Ning suddenly felt sad and rushed to take the biscuit back. Don't. I like to eat burnt food. Actually, Tang Chuan silently scooped a bowl of soup and handed it to Qi Ning. The soup should be very successful. I boiled it for a long time, and even the essence is coming out. Qi Ning took it and carefully took a sip. What do you think? Is the taste okay? Is it salty? Tang Chuan was looking forward to it. It's okay. It's not that bad. At least it's better than I thought. Qi Ning didn't change the Qin family's inherited arrogance. Hee, I'm satisfied with this evaluation. Tang Chuan laughed. Then you're really easy to satisfy. Qi Ning looked up and glanced at him. Of course, I'm happy when I'm satisfied. That's why I look younger and more handsome than Lord Su and your brothers, right? Tang Chuan began to show off. Puffed. Shameless. Qi Ning dissed him. He was used to it, and it was like eating a meal. He had been by Qi Ning's side for the past few days. During the day, he worked as her assistant at the company, and at night, he came back to cook for her. Tang Chuan was willing to work hard without complaint. Qi Ning gradually changed her opinion of him as they got to know each other. What's the use of being shy? It's not like I can have another wife. But Ning Ning, when can I pass the probation period? How long do you plan on testing me? Tang Chuan looked at Qi Ning expectantly. Chapter 2193. What trial period? Qi Ning pretended not to know. The trial period to be your boyfriend? Oh, I see. But I think it's great that you're my assistant during the day and my nanny at night. I like the way life is now. Qi Ning smiled. Oh, no way. Tang Chuan was dumbfounded. Did he overreach himself? But being an assistant and a nanny has its limitations. There are a lot of things that I can't do. What's the matter? Qi Ning didn't understand such a dirty topic. Come here, I'll tell you. Tang Chuan beckoned her over with his finger. Qi Ning leaned over with a serious expression, ready to listen to Tang Chuan's long speech. But when she leaned over, her lips were sucked by the man in front of her in the next second, and his strength was extremely domineering. Qi Ning's brain short-circuited again. The scene from the birthday party replayed itself. Surprisingly, she was a little addicted to it this time. Perhaps it was because her feelings for this man were different. Just then, the door opened. Qi Ning reacted quickly and pushed Tang Chuan away. Then, she saw Qi Ning's father appear at the door with a suitcase. Behind him were two bodyguards. Daddy, why are you back? Qi Ning immediately stood up guiltily. Hello, uncle. Tang Chuan was no stranger to Qi Ning's father. In fact, he was a little friendly. Yeah, I had a last-minute meeting, so I flew back. Did you guys just eat? Qi Ning's father asked seriously. Ning Ning wanted to eat pancakes, so I tried to make some. Pancakes? You know how to make pancakes? Qi Ning's father was in disbelief. Uncle, since you're back, let's eat together. Although the taste might not be authentic, at least it's a gift from me, haha. Tang Chuan immediately poured a bowl of soup for Qi Ning's father. Qi Ning's father didn't hesitate. He put his suitcase aside, sat down at the table, and took a sip of the soup. It's not bad. You're a good cook. His future father-in-law was very satisfied with him, which made Tang Chuan feel a little proud. Daddy, your taste is too vulgar. You call this good? Look at the pancakes, they're burnt. Qi Ning seemed reluctant to admit Tang Chuan's good points. Qi Ning's father didn't respond. Instead, he looked at Tang Chuan and asked, Young man, are you planning to freeload here? Qi Ning's father's words and Tang Chuan's father. Fortunately, he was thick-skinned and didn't care about this. He then scratched his head and smiled. Uncle, I'm not a freeloader. I can also pay rent, but our family doesn't need that money. Qi Ning's father looked serious. Qi Ning panicked thinking that her father was going to kick Tang Chuan out. So she immediately explained, "Dad, he came to Los Angeles because of me, and he doesn't have any friends here. If he moves out, he might not be safe. You know, the security here isn't very good. There are always black people who break into our house and rob us. Our family is so big. One more person or one less person doesn't matter. He's not freeloading either. He helps me in the company during the day and even cooks for me at night. Ning Ning, don't panic. Let me finish." Qin Ning's father reached out his hand to interrupt his beloved daughter. Then he looked at Tang Chuan. "Don't be afraid. I'm not trying to kick you out. What I mean is, if you want to stay in our family, you need a legitimate identity." Identity? Tang Chuan was confused. He didn't know what Qin Ning's father was up to. "Yes, so I'm asking, do you mind being a live-in son-in-law?" Qin Ning's father finished his sentence. Tang Chuan almost spat out the soup in his mouth. Qin Ning also coughed violently. "Dad, what are you talking about? Don't talk nonsense. What live-in son-in-law? Who wants to marry him? This. Tang Chuan didn't know what to say. Was happiness coming too suddenly? But what the hell was this about? "Kid, what do you think?" Qin Ning's father ignored his daughter and looked at Tang Chuan. Chapter 2194. "Uncle, this is a bit too sudden." Tang Chuan stuttered. After seeing Tang Chuan's reaction, Mr. Qin's face fell. "So, you don't plan on marrying my daughter? You just want to play with her?" No. I'm serious about Ning Ning. Heaven and earth are my witnesses." Tang Chuan waved his hands and hurriedly explained. "Isn't marriage the ultimate goal?" Mr. Qin asked. "That's true." Tang Chuan nodded. "So, as a live-in son-in-law, is there a problem with you marrying into our family? You know that I don't have a son. I only have one daughter, and GK is in need of manpower. Ever since my nephew, Qin Chu, came back to China, GK has been busier than ever. If you really love Ning Ning, then stay and help her. Help us manage our family business. But marrying into our family might be hard on you. After all, you're from a big family. It's up to you. If you agree, then stay, and I'll find a time for you to get married. If you don't agree, then don't live here. Pack up your things and go back to China tomorrow." Mr. Qin then stood up and said, "Dad, how can you be so arbitrary? You didn't even discuss it with me?" Qin Ning was a little angry. "I'm your father. I'm doing this for your own good. There's no need to discuss this. Let him think about it." "But uncle, I'm just a playboy who only knows how to eat, drink, and have fun. I'm just a freeloader at home. You should know that I haven't gone to work all these years. Are you sure you want me to be your son-in-law? Aren't you afraid that I'll ruin your family's fortune?" "Kid, you can fool others, but you can't fool me. I've checked your Swiss bank account. You haven't worked in the past few years and have been investing all over the country. You made a lot of money. I'm sure a lot of people don't know about this." "Uncle, you checked on me." Tang Chuan was dumbfounded. He had always kept a low profile, and only Wei Liao and Qin Chu knew about his Swiss bank account. He didn't think that Qin Ning's father would find out so easily. It seemed like the older, the wiser. Swiss bank account? Private money? You? Qin Ning looked at Tang Chuan in disbelief. If not for her father's words, she would have thought that Tang Chuan was just a prodigal who only knew how to eat, drink, and play all day long. "Ning Ning, this kid isn't an ordinary person. It's a waste of his talent to let him be your assistant and nanny. You have one night to think about what I said. Tomorrow, either I see a live-in son-in-law of the Qin family, or you leave. No discussion." Mr. Qin's attitude was firm. After saying that, he went straight upstairs. Tang Chuan and Qin Ning looked at each other helplessly. After a while, Qin Ning said softly, "I'm sorry. My dad has a very stubborn temper. He likes to act on his own when he's decided on something. He's just like my brother, one-track-minded. It's so annoying. I didn't expect him to have such thoughts." "You don't have to apologize. Your dad is right. I can't possibly stay at your house for the rest of my life," Tang Chuan said word by word. "Then, I'll go upstairs and help you pack. You can go home tomorrow. Qi Ning knew that Tang Chuan was a very important member of the Tang family. The Tang family would never allow their son to marry into their family. In the eyes of the rich, most men who married into their family were good-for-nothings who relied on nepotism and women to get to where they were. No one would think highly of them. The Tang family couldn't afford to lose face like this, and neither could Tang Chuan. Over the past few days, Qi Ning had learned about Tang Chuan's temper. She also knew that he was a very thoughtful person. He would never agree to her father's suggestion. However, when she thought about how he was going to leave so soon, Qi Ning still felt uncomfortable. "You're willing to let me go?" Tang Chuan looked into Qi Ning's eyes and asked, "What else can I do? Do I really want you to marry into our family?" Qi Ning asked sadly. Chapter 2195. What else can I do? Do I really have to leave you all alone? You're so busy at work every day, and you have to eat cold food when you go home. You can't even have a hot meal? Tang Chuan spread his hands helplessly. However, his concern for Qi Ning was genuine. Qi Ning's heart was filled with warmth. After a long silence, Qi Ning looked up at him. "Tang Chuan, thank you for taking care of me recently. You helped me with work at the company without complaint, and you even cooked and washed my clothes for me at night. I really am. I've bullied you so much, but my dad's idea, I really can't do that. I can't do that to you. I can't be selfish and cause you to be cursed as a son-in-law for the rest of your life. So, you really don't like me, no matter what. You don't want to be with me, right?" Tang Chuan asked. Qi Ning was silent. They had been getting along well these past few days, but Qi Ning still didn't dare to give up her heart so easily. After all, she had never been in a relationship before. The truth was, she was afraid. She was afraid of getting hurt, and she was also afraid that she couldn't take on the role of a lover. She also had some feelings for Suyu before, but they hadn't reached the stage of officially dating. Qi Ning's silence chilled Tang Chuan's heart. "I don't dare to say that I'm a good and responsible man, but at least I'll make sure that my woman won't be wrong for the rest of her life. My feelings for you are real, or I wouldn't have chased you all the way to the States. I'm willing to help you at the company and cook for you at home, because it's you, so it's worth it. But since you still don't understand how you feel about me, I can understand. If you don't have the courage to take that step forward, I can understand. I won't make things difficult for you. I've been happy for a while, so there's no need to thank me. I'm going to pack my things and leave tomorrow morning. That's all." After Tang Chuan finished speaking, he turned around and went upstairs. Qi Ning, on the other hand, suddenly felt something in her heart faintly working. It was as if something was flowing away. It was a magical feeling. She wanted to ask him to stay, but she couldn't open her mouth because she wasn't sure if she liked him. Including the kiss just now, she didn't know if she forgot to push him away because she didn't know how to kiss, or if she really liked him and enjoyed this feeling. She really didn't know. She thought that the two of them would get along well, but she didn't expect that Qi Ning's father would come back and break the pattern. In fact, old Master Qin liked Tang Chuan very much. He had been observing Tang Chuan for more than 20 days. There were surveillance cameras in the house. He could see his every move and how he felt about his daughter, especially when they found out that he had been investing all these years and had made a lot of money keeping it in a Swiss bank. He also felt that this young man was very business-minded, so Mr. Qin was eager to keep Tang Chuan as his family's helper. Then, he could also find someone for his daughter to rely on. Unfortunately, haste makes waste. His forceful intervention caused the relationship between Tang Chuan and Qi Ning to deteriorate. After Tang Chuan returned to his room, he did not come out again. Qi Ning went to the study in a daze. She wanted to continue working, but she realized that she was not in the mood to do anything. Just then, Mr. Qi knocked on the door and walked in. "Daddy." Qi Ning opened her mouth, but she was obviously not in a good mood. "Still working?" Mr. Qin looked at his daughter and asked in a serious tone. Chapter 2196. "Yeah, I still have some work to do." Qi Ning held the mouse and stared at the computer screen. Her heart was in a mess. What did you talk about with that kid? We didn't talk much. He's leaving tomorrow. Qi Ning was expressionless, trying to hide her disappointment. Leaving tomorrow? He didn't agree to my request. Mr. Qin was surprised. Daddy, you're already so old. Don't be so childish, okay? Tang Chuan comes from a prestigious family. The Tang Corporation is very famous in the country. His assets aren't any worse than ours. His father is the head of the family. Why would he let his son marry into our family? Qi Ning said impatiently. Did he say that himself? Or did you say it for him? Mr. Qin asked. Is there a difference? Qi Ning was distracted. Of course there is. If he said it himself, then it means that he really doesn't care about you. It's okay for a man like him to leave. But if you made the decision for him, then you're just being stubborn. After all, you're not him. You don't know what he's thinking. Forget it, Dad. Let's not talk about this. Tang Chuan and I, that's it. It's good that we're friends. Don't make things difficult for him. I'm still young, and I'm not in a hurry to get married. If you need help, you can find a few managers to help us. Just hire more executives. Don't think about my marriage. Qi Ning seemed to be angry with her father, so her tone wasn't very good. Ning, Daddy, I'm tired. I'll go to sleep after I'm done with work. You should rest early too. Qi Ning didn't give her father the right to speak. Mr. Qin sighed and didn't say anything else. He turned around and left. He wanted to have a good talk with that kid, but he thought that the more he said, the more meaningless it would be. Just like that, in the huge mansion, the three of them stayed in 3 different rooms, each with their own thoughts. Qi Ning and Tang Chuan couldn't sleep. The silence was terrifying. Qi Ning held her phone and scrolled through her WeChat moments. She waited for Tang Chuan, hoping that he would say something to her. Unfortunately, he didn't say anything. Qi Ning wanted to take the initiative to say something to him, but she realized that she didn't know what to say. Finally, at 11:40 a.m., Tang Chuan updated his WeChat moments. I can afford to play, and I can also protect myself. I can be so fickle that you're afraid of me, but I can also be so single-minded that you're surprised. I can be like a king in the business world, and I can also enjoy a simple life with you at home. All of this depends on who you are and how you treat me. Freezing at 0 degrees Celsius and boiling at 100 degrees Celsius. The temperature you give me is determined by my attitude towards you. So, please don't look at me from your point of view, because I'm afraid you'll never understand. After reading this, Qi Ning had mixed feelings. This was the first time she had seen such a gloomy side to Tang Chuan. Dark cold, it was a stark contrast to his usual mischievous self. After some thought, she couldn't help but send him a WeChat message. Are you asleep? She typed. I'm going to sleep now, Tang Chuan replied instantly. All right then, good night. I'll drive you to the airport tomorrow. I've already booked the ticket for you. Thank you. Tang Chuan's reply was very distant. This kind of reaction made Qi Ning feel both gratified and disappointed. Shouldn't she be happy that Tang Chuan didn't continue to pester her? Qi Ning booked Tang Chuan's ticket for 10 a.m. the next day. At 6 a.m., she couldn't sleep. With dark circles under her eyes, she got up to toast some bread and prepare some warm milk. She planned to have breakfast with Tang Chuan. When she knocked on the door, she realized that there was no response. Can I come in, Tang Chuan? Qi Ning thought that he was taking a shower and couldn't hear her. Chapter 2197. When she pushed open the door, she was completely dumbfounded. Tang Chuan's room was clean and tidy, without a speck of dust. The quilt on the bed was also neatly folded. He left. This was Qi Ning's first reaction. Then, she walked over and saw a small note on the bedside table. On it was a beautiful string of English words. He wrote, Ning, I'm leaving. I'm sorry, I don't have the courage to say goodbye to you in person. I'm afraid I won't be able to bear it. That's it. Thank you for letting me freeload all this time. You can refund my ticket. I've booked a ticket to Spain myself. Qi Ning didn't know why, but when she saw this, tears immediately flowed down her face. He left. He really left. He didn't say goodbye to her. She clutched the note tightly, then turned and ran downstairs. Looking at the bodyguards downstairs, she anxiously asked in English, "Did you see my friend Tang? When did he leave?" It was around 3 in the morning. When I was practicing, I saw him leave the house with a suitcase. 3 a.m. Chi Ning looked down at the time on her phone. It was already 6:30 a.m. It seemed like it was too late to go to the airport to find him. There were flights to all over the world in Los Angeles 24 hours a day. Just then, Mr. Chin came downstairs. "Ning Ning, what's wrong?" "Nothing, Dad. I'm going to work now. Breakfast is ready. It's in the kitchen. Remember to eat." Chi Ning grabbed her bag and drove out in her sports car in a bad mood. On the way, she put on her headphones and called Tang Chuan. "Sorry, the number you have dialed is unavailable." It seemed like he got on the plane. His phone was turned off. Chi Ning had never been so scared in her life. She felt like something precious had slipped away from her eyes. She wanted to cry, but couldn't. She really hated herself for being like this. Was it so hard to just tell him directly to stay? In the early morning in Los Angeles, Chi Ning sped along the coastal road, feeling extremely unhappy. And Tang Chuan was indeed on a flight to Barcelona. Parting was so sudden, and it came so suddenly. Southside Recuperation Center. After the morning meeting, President Wu stopped Huamin. "Mian, come to my office for a second." Huamin nodded. After the meeting, he chatted with President Wu as they walked. "I've been on a lot of business trips recently and haven't been in the city much. Have you gotten used to it while you've been back?" "Yes, I'm used to it." "Very good." Huamin smiled. "I heard a little about your daughter a while ago. Is she all right now?" "I'm fine. Thank you for your concern." As they spoke, the two of them walked into the office one after another. President Wu took out an exquisite gift box and handed it to Huamin. "I went to America for a seminar last week and went to see Xiao Xue. She asked me to bring this to you. It's for your twins. Please thank Xiao Xue for me." Huamin took the gift box and found that it was 2 sets of doll dresses for girls. Xiao Xue was really thoughtful. They might come back this spring festival because Ziyuan's parents are getting old and they're not used to living in America. Xiao Xue said that if she comes back, she'll come and see you. "That's great. I haven't seen her in a long time. Has Xinyue grown up?" "Yes, she's very tall. She speaks fluent English and Chinese." President Wu smiled. "Time flies. Now that I think about it, meeting Xiao Xue feels like it was only yesterday." As the two of them chatted, a nurse rushed in a panic and even forgot to knock on the door. "Vice Director Hua, hurry up. The woman in the VIP room is crazy. She's holding a pair of scissors and wants to kill herself. She's yelling that she wants to see you." Huamin's heart sank. He guessed that it was Jian Tong. Chapter 2198. "I'll go right now." Huamin was anxious, and he immediately turned around and left the office. President Wu followed him out as well. Ridiculous things like this rarely happen at Southside because they were targeted at high-class people. Therefore, President Wu was a little worried when he heard that the patient was about to commit suicide. Almost no one in the hospital knew that the VIP patient was Jian Tong because she was severely injured after the car accident. She was wrapped up in gauze like a mummy. Neither her family nor the company talked about it, and the media didn't know either. Therefore, almost no one knew about the subtle relationship between Jian Tong and Huamin. When Huamin arrived, Jian Tong was already holding a pair of scissors to her neck. She seemed to be very agitated. "I want to see Huamin. I know she works at this hospital. Hurry up and call her over, or I'll die here." Jian Tong's voice was hysterical, scaring the nurses who were taking care of her. Jian Tong's mother was so scared that she almost had a heart attack. "I'm here. Don't be so agitated." Huamin appeared at the door just in time. He was wearing a white lab coat and black-rimmed glasses. This was the first time Jian Tong saw Huamin since the accident. "Ha, you came at the right time. Great." Jian Tong looked at Huamin with a bone-chilling sneer on her face. "You really didn't have to do this. Why did you have to do this?" Huamian looked at Jian Tong, who was wrapped up like a dumpling from head to toe. Huamin's comforting words seemed to fall short of his wishes. Huamin didn't have a good impression of someone who almost killed her own daughter. He didn't think that she was pitiful at all. She only had herself to blame. Let me tell you, you've all been fooled by this woman. Actually, Huamin is the most scheming bitch. She would do anything to get rid of me. She even asked her daughter to set me up. She's so despicable. Why do so many men fall in love with a woman like you? Ha! Are they all blind? Jiantong looked at Huamin and cursed. At that moment, she no longer had the aura of a superstar. She was simply a shrew, a lunatic who cursed in the streets. Vice Director He. The nurses around her tried to stop Jiantong from scolding Huamian. Let her scold. I won't lower myself to the level of a lunatic. In Huamin's opinion, Jiantong had already lost her mind. Ever since her car accident, her emotions have been extremely unstable. Because of her serious injuries and disfigurement, she had basically been screaming and smashing things every day. Whether it was mentally or physically, she couldn't accept her miserable state, not to mention Su Yu's extremely cold attitude towards her. It made her want to die, but she didn't have the courage to do so. So, Mr. Qin was right. She was suffering every day. She was living in agony. This was even scarier than death. Mental illness? Are you saying that I'm mentally ill? Ha ha. Huamin, let me tell you, I'm more clear-headed than I ever have been. I've been thinking about something for the past few days. How could it be so coincidental that I went to President Su's mansion and your daughter showed up there at the right time? So, this was all part of your scheme. You're so evil. You're willing to do anything to stop me from being with President Su. You used your stupid but evil daughter as bait. You knew that I might have done something to it, but you still ate it on purpose. Then, you use it as a ruse to get everyone's sympathy and set me up. Huamin, are you still human? Jiantong's every word was filled with anger. No one else could understand what she was saying. They didn't even know who she was. Only Huamian knew that she was still talking about Little Bean's accident that day. Chapter 2199. You overestimate me. I'm not heartless enough to use my own life to harm you. Besides, compared to my daughter, you're nothing. You don't deserve to be harmed by my daughter, let alone you. Huamin calmly retorted. I don't believe you. I won't believe you no matter what you say. You win, you're heartless. That's why I'm in this state. Huamin, you'll get what you deserve. You'll go to hell when you die. Jiantong viciously cursed. I'll be fine while I'm alive. After I die, I don't care if I go to heaven or hell. You're thinking too far ahead. Compared to Jiantong's craziness, Huamin was as calm and collected as ever. This made Jiantong even more agitated. She swung the scissors left and right, as if she was going to cut herself at any moment. Call the police and ask the firefighters to come. Huamin turned around and whispered to the nurse behind him. That was because she realized that Jiantong was going to cause trouble today. She would not let this matter rest until she caused trouble. Everyone, listen up. Even if I die here today, it's all because of this woman. She forced me to die. I'll never forgive you. Huamin, I hate you to death. You bitch, Jiantong said as she brought the scissors to her neck. At that moment, Huamin was quite nervous. After all, it was a human life. However, before the scissors could reach her, Jiantong's vision suddenly turned black and she fainted. Someone, hurry up and save her. My daughter fainted. Jiantong's mother screamed from the side. As a doctor, Huamin reflexively rushed over to help her up to the bed and give her first aid. However, the moment Huamin touched her, a pair of cold scissors suddenly pressed against Huamin's neck. Jiantong opened her eyes with an evil smile on her face. You've been tricked, haven't you? The compassionate Dr. Hua? Let go of our Vice Director Hua. We could talk about this. Don't get too worked up. President Wu was terrified. He felt more nervous than ever as he watched Huamin being held hostage by a patient. Jiantong's scissors were pressed tightly against Huamian's pale neck. The sharp blades of the scissors pierced into her flesh. Drops of blood dripped down her neck. Huamian felt a chill on her neck, followed by a stinging pain. Back, all of you, I'll kill her right now. Jiantong yelled. The medical staff and President Wu were so scared that they quickly backed away. Tong Tong, what are you doing? Why don't you take care of yourself? Jian Tong's mother was crying so hard that she couldn't catch her breath. She didn't know why her daughter had to do something so extreme. Why did she have to make life difficult for this female doctor? Get out of my way. Jian Tong dragged Huamin out of the building. They passed through the long corridor and went up to the rooftop. It was late winter, and the Lunar New Year was approaching, so the rooftop was exceptionally cold. The temperature was minus 20 degrees Celsius. Both of them were pale from the cold. Jian Tong dragged Huamin to the edge of the rooftop. They were on the 12th floor. If they fell, there was no chance of survival. I want to see Suyu. Hurry up and get Suyu here. Jian Tong made her second request. Immediately, someone tried to call Imperial Star's headquarters to contact Suyu. Suyu was in a shareholders meeting. He had his laptop open and was analyzing the year's data. I knocked on the door and walked in. He whispered something in his Suyu's ear. He immediately stood up and ran out without looking back, leaving behind a group of dumbfounded shareholders. Mr. Su has something to do. You can leave now, and said. Suyu drove his Lamborghini to Southside without stopping. He rushed to the rooftop. The whole process took less than 18 minutes. Let her go. These are the first words Suyu said as he rushed up to her. Chapter 2200. Suyu, you're finally here? For the first time, Jian Tong didn't address Suyu as President Su. Instead, she called him Suyu. Her eyes were filled with hatred because she would never forget that Suyu had killed her. Jian Tong, don't make any more mistakes. Let's talk things over. Let go of Huamin first. Huamin was in danger. This was Suyu's bottom line. When Suyu came up, he saw this scene. Jian Tong was dressed in a hospital gown. Her face was covered in white gauze, and she was holding a pair of sharp scissors in her hand. She pressed the scissors against Hua Min's neck. Perhaps it had been a long time, but some of the blood had already dried up. Hua Min was also wearing thin clothes. Because the room was air-conditioned, she only wore a shirt underneath. She was wearing a white lab coat over her work clothes. It was a cold day, and they had been outside for almost 20 minutes. Both of them seemed to be freezing, but Jian Tong had no intention of letting go. Also, no one dared to force her. Behind Jian Tong was the 12th floor of the building. If they were not careful, they would fall to their deaths. After hearing Suyu's words, Jian Tong laughed maniacally. Ha ha ha. Now, you're telling me to talk things over? Isn't it a little too late? Suyu, when I begged you, what did you say? You were extremely cold. You even insisted that I should die. You even threatened me with my family and told me to kill myself. Look at how cruel you are. I gave you the money because you did something unforgivable. Jian Tong, don't always blame others for your mistakes. The world is big. Not everyone is your mother. Everyone spoils you. When you're wrong, no one can say anything. But when someone else is wrong, you're going to hold a grudge for the rest of your life. What kind of logic is that? Huamin couldn't take it anymore and rebutted Jian Tong. Bitch, shut up. Do you think I won't kill you right now? Jian Tong was provoked and used even more force. Huamin felt the stabbing pain in her neck get worse. However, she continued to mock. If I wanted to kill you, I would have done it a long time ago. I wouldn't have waited for Suyu to come. You asked him to come so you could find a way out. I advise you to calm down. After all, you don't want to die, right? Jian Tong, the more you do, the faster you die. I advise you to stop immediately if you don't want to die. If you continue like this, your end will be very miserable. Huamin could tell that Jian Tong didn't want to die. She did what she did because she wanted to live. However, Jian Tong hated the feeling of being seen through. She immediately became hysterical. Huamin, shut the fuck up. I hate it when you're always high and mighty and know everything. If you're so powerful, why do you have to live such a miserable life? Your stepfather died because of you, your husband crashed because of you, and now he's crippled. Suyu went from being an insufferably arrogant prince to an idiot because of you. Do you think you're so powerful? In fact, you're just a bitch, a shameless bitch. Jian Tong scolded her with the harshest words. Huamin, on the other hand, was calm. She wasn't afraid at all, even though Jian Tong had lost her mind. However, she knew that Jian Tong's goal wasn't to kill her. She just wanted to do this to find a way out from Su Yu. Huamin stopped talking. Su Yu's heart ached. He was afraid that Jian Tong would be in danger, so he didn't want her to continue. Su Yu, how despicable are you? She has a husband. Her husband isn't you. Jian Tong looked at Su Yu viciously. Jian Tong, what do you want? Name your price. Don't waste any more time. Su Yu looked at Jian Tong calmly. It's simple. I want an international check for 1 billion, my passport, and a helicopter. I want to leave here as soon as possible. Chapter 2201. No problem. Let her go first. Su Yu agreed without hesitation. Su Yu, don't be ridiculous. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old kid? If I don't get the money or see the helicopter, why would I let her go? Jian Tong was ready to risk everything, so she didn't care how she repaired her relationship with Su Yu in the future. She only knew that if she stayed in the hospital, she would die. Su Yu wouldn't let her go, Huamin wouldn't, and Qin Shu definitely wouldn't. Therefore, after much thought, she had no choice but to cut off all means of retreat. You've known me for so long. You should know that I'm a man of my word. Su Yu was slightly angry. That was in the past. Why should I trust you now? You're willing to let me die for this woman and her child. So, don't tell me you're a man of your word. I only trust what I see with my own eyes. The money, the passport, the helicopter. Hurry up, I have to get out of here right now. Otherwise, I'll die with Huamin. Jian Tong was ready to risk everything. At the same time, on the top floor of the old industrial building across from Southside Recuperation Center, Gao Ran, Qin Shu, and the sniper were ready to take aim. What do you think? Is the angle okay? Qin Shu's mind was in a mess, but he had to calm down and think of a way to save his wife. In order not to agitate Jian Tong, Qin Shu didn't go to the scene because Jian Tong specifically asked to see Su Yu. However, how could Mr. Qin remain calm when he found out that his wife was being held hostage and her life was in danger? He was scared out of his wits. Just as Gao Ran said, no matter how calm and collected Qin Shu was normally, he would break down when it came to Huamin because he loved and cared too much. Chief Gao, this isn't a good position. The suspect is behind us, facing the hostage. If I were to shoot, there's a high chance that the bullet will hurt the hostage. The sniper found a drawback after taking aim. Because there were no floors higher than the inpatient department on either side of Southside, it was impossible to enter from the side. It could only be seen from the industrial building opposite, but this way, the visual angle was limited. Then what should we do? Gao Ran was also anxious. He looked at Qin Shu and couldn't make up his mind. Have the sniper stay here and wait for an opportunity. Maybe the suspect is emotionally unstable and will make a big move. As long as she doesn't overlap with Huamian's position, shoot her immediately, Qin Shu analyzed. MHM, it looks like that's the only way. But you don't have to worry too much. There are ambulances and firefighters downstairs. Even if there's an accident, her life won't be in danger. Gao Ran knew that Qin Shu was worried about his wife, so he patted him on the shoulder to comfort him. I'm not worried about them falling off the building. I'm worried that Jian Tong will go crazy and hurt Huamian with a knife. Qin Shu answered worriedly. This was the problem that he was most worried about, but couldn't solve. He didn't have to worry about them falling off the building. Although the 12th floor was high, there were protective measures downstairs. What he was worried about was that Jian Tong would become emotionally unstable. If she didn't agree with him, she would lose all hope and cut Huamin's throat with a knife. The consequences would be unimaginable. In other words, Huamin was being held hostage by a crazy person like Jian Tong. Huamin's life was in danger at any moment. No wonder Qin Shu was so anxious and looked so gloomy. After thinking about it, Qin Shu decided to call Su Yu. He took out his phone and dialed. Su Yu picked up the call, but didn't say anything. However, he knew that it was Qin Shu's number. Chapter 2202. Suyu, listen to me. Our snipers are ready at the industrial building across from you. However, Jiantong's position overlaps with Huomion's, so they can't shoot. What you need to do now is to provoke Jiantong with your words so that she will shift her hatred to you instead of Huomion. If she does anything else, we'll find a chance to shoot. That's all. Qin Shu calmly analyzed the situation, and Suyu immediately understood. After all, he had been trained in the military. Suyu was on the phone, so he couldn't let Jiantong find out. Therefore, he pretended to be serious and said, "Okay, I understand. But hurry up and bring the check. Also, hurry up and ask for the helicopter. I've already promised her." Upon hearing Suyu's words, Jiantong thought that there was news about the helicopter and the check. A glimmer of hope lit up in her eyes. She impatiently asked, "When will they arrive? My money and the helicopter?" "Soon, so you can't act rashly. Don't hurt Huomion." Mion. Do you only have eyes for this woman? Suyu, you're the biggest idiot in the world. You like her so much and treat her so well, but what has she ever given you? Unless she's born to be cold and pretentious, she hasn't given you anything. She hasn't even slept with you, and you're still thinking about her? Did she cast a spell on you? Jiantong was so jealous of Huomin. Seeing how Suyu was so worried about Huomin's safety at such a critical moment, she couldn't help but feel jealous. She was going crazy with jealousy. Love doesn't ask for anything in return. If you treat someone well and ask them to reciprocate, that's not love. It's a deal, so you don't understand. I don't ask her to give me anything. I just want her to live a happy life. Suyu's words were from the bottom of his heart. However, the more he said this, the more Jiantong couldn't stand it. Suyu, why don't you think about it? What if she's playing you on purpose? All these years, I've played you, Qin Shu, and Huosiqian in the palm of my hand. Yet, the few of you still have no complaints or regrets. Isn't that lamentable? She's not as innocent as you think she is. You'll regret it if you continue to be like this. She doesn't respond to your love, but she's still keeping you in suspense. Think about it. You're already over 30 years old, but you're still single. You're from a prestigious family, and you're the young master of the Su family, but you're being played by a lowly commoner. If you continue to be entangled with her, you'll end up alone. She has a husband and a child. You have nothing. You idiot. Ha! After saying that, Jiantong threw her head back and laughed. His smile was very mournful. Huomin sighed sadly. At this time, she didn't want to think too much. Jiantong's insanity had reached the highest level in history. Her thoughts and logic were in a mess. So, no matter what she said, it would be useless. So, she decided not to say anything. However, she knew that Suyu wouldn't be fooled by Jiantong's words. After all, Jiantong was crazy, but Suyu wasn't. Thinking about what Qin Shu had told him, Suyu looked up at Jiantong and said, "Even if Huomin wants to play me, I'll do it. I'll do it willingly. But you, even if you send yourself to my doorstep, I won't. A person who isn't kind to begin with is destined to never be happy. If you're kind, God will protect you. Jiantong, you've made too many mistakes. Don't keep making them. If you let Huomin go this time, I promise I'll let you live and send you abroad." So he was a little tired. In fact, seeing Jiantong like this didn't make him feel very comfortable. When Jiantong came to Imperial Star, she wasn't even 20 years old. At that time, she was still a shy and smiling little girl. What made her become so ferocious? What made her become like this? Suyu didn't know either. "Will you really let me go?" Jiantong looked at Suyu doubtfully. "You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.